Welcome. You are about to enter a different standard of leadership. At Greenfield WorkFlow, we do not see leadership as a position. We see it as a daily discipline, a quiet, powerful commitment to guests, teams, systems, culture, and the future. This audiobook is not a training course. It is a living guide. It is a call to service, stewardship, and sustainable excellence. Here you will not be asked for brilliance. You will be asked for daily consistency. You will not be asked for ego. You will be asked for self-mastery. You will not be asked to manage. You will be challenged to build legacies through people, systems, and invisible daily excellence. Every section you hear is built from GWF's guest-first, eco-centered, community-driven mission. Every standard you encounter is rooted in the daily practices that protect emotional loyalty, operational strength, and sustainable futures. You will be asked to lead yourself before leading others. You will be asked to renew your energy before demanding energy from your teams. You will be asked to build systems that outlast your own presence. This is leadership for those who believe that serving others well is the highest form of strength, that protecting culture and systems is not an option, but a leadership duty. If you are ready to lead from presence, to serve from discipline, to protect guest trust with everything you do, then this is your place. This is your path. Welcome to the GWF Executive Leadership Standard. The future thanks you. Your teams will mirror you. Your legacy begins now. One introduction. Leading with purpose. Executive Leadership Overview. Why purpose is the center of executive leadership. At Greenfield WorkFlow, an executive leader does not just manage operations, they shape ecosystems. Purpose is not a slogan. It is the foundation that directs every decision, every system, every conversation, every standard. Without a personal and professional sense of purpose, execution becomes mechanical and leadership becomes hollow. A GWF executive leader operates with clear, daily alignment to project vision and values, makes decisions based on long-term impact, not short-term pressure, protects guest experience, team culture, and operational excellence as one unified system. Leadership here is not about authority. It is about building living systems with purpose at the core. Section structure. Key executive development areas. 1.1 Our strategic vision. One neighborhood at a time. Understand and embody GWF strategic philosophy. Local relevance. Deep guest belonging. Sustainable community impact. Build daily operations that scale trust, quality, and environmental stewardship. Guest by guest, location by location. 1.2 Our why. Belonging, sustainability, creation. Stay anchored to the why behind the what and how. Foster belonging through every guest and team interaction. Build sustainability into daily systems, not just external branding. Support the spirit of creation, innovation, collaboration, and continuous improvement. Reconnect weekly with personal and project purpose, visible in actions, not just intentions. 1.3 Leadership role in the ecosystem. See yourself not as a manager of tasks, but as an ecosystem leader. Guest experience, team well-being, system health, community connection, brand protection, all linked. Understand how your energy, decisions, and mindset ripple outward through the project daily. Lead horizontally and vertically. Every team member you interact with mirrors your standards, consciously or not. 1.4 Defining the GWF leader persona. Embody a leadership persona based on presence without ego, calm under stress, operational precision and system thinking, emotional intelligence and conflict resolution mastery, strategic, sustainable decision-making, visible daily discipline, starting with self-leadership first. Show through actions that leadership is a daily craft, not a status. At GWF, leadership is not something you claim. Leadership is something you prove, quietly, consistently, relentlessly. Daily practices for executive leaders. Start each day with strategic reflection. How will my actions today protect and build GWF's vision? End each day with operational reflection. Where did my systems, team energy, and guest experience strengthen, and where must I upgrade tomorrow? Weekly reconnection to purpose. Review guest stories, team moments, operational wins and breakdowns. Ask yourself, am I still aligned to building belonging, sustainability, and creation? Continuous upgrade mindset. Train weekly, reflect weekly, correct weekly, celebrate improvement, not just results. Executive leadership mindset for Section 1. Lead through strategic clarity, not tactical exhaustion. Move from intention to system. Every vision must anchor into operational daily flow. Protect energy, presence, and standards as aggressively as you protect profits and KPIs. Become the example in crisis, in routine, in success, and in challenge. 1.1 Our strategic vision, one neighborhood at a time. Executive leadership practice. Why vision must be lived, not spoken. At Greenfield WorkFlow, our strategic vision is not abstract, it is operational. One neighborhood at a time means building deep, meaningful presence in every location we touch. It means local trust, local belonging, local stewardship before, during, and beyond operations. A GWF executive leader translates this vision into daily systems, guest experiences, community relationships, and team energy. Make sure every operational decision, every hiring choice, every service standard builds the local ecosystem, not just the bottom line. Vision is proven daily, or it dies. At GWF, it must live through you. Core responsibilities for executives. 1. Building local relevance. Understand the local guest psyche. Who are they? What do they value? What do they expect beyond transaction? Belonging, recognition, contribution. Customize the operational flow subtly to reflect local nuances. Menu items, service rituals, greetings, sustainability actions, staff dynamics, all infused with local resonance. Protect the neighborhood DNA. Avoid generic operations. Anchor service and communication styles to local identity and pride. 2. Growing trust systems. Create visible, consistent patterns of guest care. Accuracy, warmth, calm problem solving. Deliver these not randomly, but predictably across every shift. Embed trust into operational rhythms. Consistency of experience builds emotional security, which builds local loyalty. Train leaders under you to model micro-trust behaviors daily. First greeting, first recovery, first solution ownership. Visible markers of neighborhood integration. 3. Practicing stewardship, not exploitation. Use local sourcing responsibly. Food, supplies, partnerships where possible, not just for marketing, but as genuine economic contribution. Support local staff empowerment, career paths, skill upgrades, community engagement projects. Lead community initiatives actively. Sustainability drives, cleanups, education projects, local events. Not just marketing photos, but real, repeatable contributions. 4. Building sustainable, scalable neighborhood impact. Create operational models that can be replicated without losing soul. SOPs must protect excellence and cultural relevance. Brand must grow through deeper trust, not wider emptiness. Measure impact. How many locals employed? How much economic contribution retained locally? How many guest relationships turned into community relationships? Executive leadership practices for vision execution. Daily local focus review. In morning briefings, what today strengthens our belonging here? In closing huddles, where today did we disconnect and how do we correct tomorrow? Weekly guest connection mapping. Map real guest emotional reactions, belonging moments versus mechanical transactions. Monthly community action review. Audit. What real value did we create this month beyond profit? Executive mindset for vision leadership. Local first. Guest second. Systems third. Presence over expansion. Belonging before branding. Trust over transactions. Legacy over marketing. In simple terms for executive leaders. If it's generic, refuse it. If it's hollow, rebuild it. If it's local, honor it. If it's meaningful, protect it. If you lead with purpose, you build a future that cannot be copied. 1.2 Our why. Belonging, sustainability, creation, executive leadership practice. Why knowing the why is mandatory for true leadership. At Greenfield WorkFlow, we do not operate for profit alone. We operate to create ecosystems where people and nature thrive together. Our why is made of 3 living pillars. Belonging, creating spaces where guests and team members feel seen, safe, and significant. Sustainability, protecting resources, supporting communities, and honoring the balance between human needs and environmental health. Creation, building better systems, experiences, and futures through innovation, not repetition. If you lose connection to the why, you cannot lead the how or the what with integrity. As an executive leader, you must make these pillars visible, not by saying them, but by structuring them into every part of the daily operation. Core executive responsibilities to uphold the why. 1. Embedding belonging into daily operations. Guest experience. Train your team to recognize guest emotional needs before they are spoken. Remove mechanical, robotic service behaviors. Replace them with human presence and emotional attentiveness. Team culture. Build psychologically safe environments where team members contribute ideas, admit mistakes, and celebrate each other. Leadership behavior. Model humility, respect, and genuine care, no transactional leadership. 2. Embedding sustainability into systems. Operational efficiency. Energy conservation, water management, and waste minimization are non-negotiable daily standards, not green add-ons. Supply chain responsibility. Push for local sourcing, responsible vendor partnerships, and minimal environmental impact in all purchasing decisions. Guest and team engagement. Educate guests and teams visibly on sustainability practices without preaching. Inspire through leadership and consistent action. 3. Embedding creation into project DNA system innovation. Regularly audit SOPs, guest flows, kitchen systems, maintenance practices. Asking not, is this enough, but can this be done better, simpler, cleaner? Talent innovation. Cross-train, rotate, upskill. Treat every team member as a future leader and system builder. Guest innovation. Surprise and delight guests through small, constant innovations. Service rituals, space design, recovery practices, product updates. Executive leadership practices to strengthen the why morning purpose check. How will I show belonging, sustainability, and creation today through my leadership? End of week impact review. Where did my teams build belonging, protect resources, or innovate this week? Monthly purpose alignment workshops. With leadership teams, revisit real examples where the why lived and where it drifted. Executive mindset for living the why. Lead hearts before systems. Build futures before profits. Protect environments before conveniences. Spark creation before replication. You are responsible for keeping the why alive not by slogans, but by transforming it into daily lived experience for guests, teams, and partners. In simple terms for executive leaders, if it connects people, build it. If it protects nature, strengthen it. If it creates a better future, prioritize it. If you protect the why, the how and what will take care of themselves. 1.3 Leadership Role in the Ecosystem, Executive Leadership Practice. Why leadership is ecosystem management, not position management. At Greenfield WorkFlow, executive leaders are not above the system. They are part of the system and responsible for its health, flow, and evolution. Every guest experience, every operational system, every team energy exchange, every vendor relationship, every environmental interaction, all are interconnected. All are shaped, directly or indirectly, by your leadership behaviors, standards, and decisions. True leadership is not about force. It is about creating ecosystems that self-sustain, self-correct, and self-elevate, because they are designed with excellence and care. Core executive responsibilities in the ecosystem. 1. Ecosystem awareness. Map the ecosystem daily. Guests, team members, systems, vendors, community, environment. Anticipate ripple effects. Every new SOP, every leadership tone shift, every staffing decision echoes through the whole system. Stay alert to early ecosystem signals, minor team disengagement, subtle guest dissatisfaction, vendor instability, system stress points, overload, inefficiency, friction. Catch ecosystem imbalances early, correct them before they compound. 2. Ecosystem maintenance. Guest trust protection. Guest experience is the most fragile part of the ecosystem. Small cracks here damage the entire brand and operational strength. Team culture stewardship. Protect energy, discipline, psychological safety, and daily excellence standards inside the team. System health leadership. Maintain systems at peak, mechanical, operational, communication, feedback, innovation systems. Vendor and partner relationship management. Ensure vendor ethics, service levels, and environmental alignment are monitored and corrected when necessary. Environmental care enforcement. Sustainable practices must be integrated, monitored, corrected, without waiting for outside audits. 3. Ecosystem growth. Strengthen internal talent. Build leaders from within. Expand team capacity to handle complexity and leadership roles without constant supervision. Strengthen guest emotional attachment. Move from satisfaction to emotional loyalty through ritual, service depth, and operational consistency. Strengthen system intelligence. Upgrade systems constantly based on guest feedback, operational KPIs, and team observations, not waiting for crises. Executive leadership practices for ecosystem stewardship. Daily ecosystem check-ins. Which part of the ecosystem needs support today? Guests, team, systems, vendors, environment. Weekly ecosystem resilience testing. If I step back tomorrow, would this system, team, and guest experience sustain quality without me? Monthly Ecosystem Innovation Challenge. Where can we upgrade ecosystem health by removing friction, waste, or disconnection? executive mindset for ecosystem leadership, ecosystem over ego, sustainability over short-term wins, guest trust over operational shortcuts, daily calibration over emergency firefighting. Leadership is ecosystem architecture. Every structure you build, every standard you enforce, every trust bridge you strengthen becomes part of the GWF living system that will outlast you or collapse without you, depending on how you lead. In simple terms for executive leaders, if it weakens the ecosystem, stop it. If it strengthens the ecosystem, accelerate it. If it disconnects the parts, reconnect them. If it risks the future, redesign it. If you protect the whole, the parts will thrive. 1.4 Defining the GWF Leader Persona Executive Leadership Practice. Why persona shapes impact. At Greenfield WorkFlow, you do not lead based on your job title. You lead based on your presence, actions, and daily habits. Persona is not image. Persona is the visible, repeatable behaviors that others experience daily. Guests, team members, community, partners. Your persona either builds trust, belonging, excellence, or it weakens them. There is no neutral ground. At GWF, the executive leader persona must be consciously built, trained, protected, and upgraded constantly. Core components of the GWF executive leader persona: 1. Presence without ego. Calm, observant, strategic. You are visibly focused, never frantic, scattered, or emotional in front of teams or guests. Respect without distance. You are approachable. No arrogance, no coldness, but every interaction is intentional, guest-centered, and standard-raising. Attention management. Your focus is your most precious asset. You give full attention to priorities, not distractions. People feel your focus when they are with you. 2. Calm under stress. Situational mastery. Whether a guest complaint, system failure, or team disruption, you respond with structure and stability, never chaotic reaction. Emotional control. You do not pass your stress to your teams. You protect team energy by leading calmly through uncertainty. Priority thinking. In crisis, you simplify. Protect guest first, secure operations second, correct and learn third. 3. Operational precision and system thinking. Daily standard enforcement. You lead from the front on SOPs, preventive maintenance, guest standards, team behaviors, consistently, not selectively. System builder. You improve workflows, feedback loops, reporting structures without waiting for permission. Preventive leadership. You fix small issues before they become large. Culturally, operationally, strategically. Emotional intelligence and conflict resolution. Listening mastery. You listen fully before responding. Guests, teams, vendors, hearing emotional and operational needs. Language discipline. You speak factually, clearly, and constructively, avoiding emotional leakage or blame shifting. Structured conflict handling. You apply frameworks like describe, express, specify, consequence to resolve issues without erosion of trust. 5. Strategic, sustainable decision-making, long-term thinker. Your decisions are built for sustainability, system health, and reputation protection, not short-term wins. First principles leadership. You cut through noise to focus on what is true, necessary, and aligned with GWF's vision and values. Impact awareness. Every action is measured against its impact on guest experience, team strength, operational health, brand trust, environmental responsibility. 6. Daily self-leadership discipline. Morning self-check. Where will I model GWF standards today? Not just enforce them. Shift debrief. Reflection. What improved today because of my leadership? Where must I recalibrate tomorrow? Weekly persona upgrade. Which behavior do I need to sharpen or expand next week to lead stronger? Executive mindset for persona leadership. Model first. Enforce second. Inspire always. Correct without ego. Grow without waiting. You do not build followers at GWF. You build systems that survive, teams that lead, guests that belong, and communities that grow because of the persona you embody daily. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you want excellence, be excellence. If you want loyalty, show loyalty. If you want respect, give respect. If you want leadership, live leadership. Introduction. Section 2. Core values and cultural alignment. Executive leadership overview. Why values are the foundation of executive leadership. At Greenfield WorkFlow, culture is not slogans on walls. It is the daily lived behavior of leadership at every level. Without cultural alignment, operational excellence collapses under stress. Without values-driven leadership, guest trust becomes mechanical, not emotional. Without daily embodiment of GWF values, no amount of marketing, hiring, or system design will sustain loyalty. At GWF, executive leaders are the frontline protectors, teachers, and guardians of core values, not just enforcers. You do not manage culture from a distance. You build it, model it, correct it, protect it, and grow it. Every shift, every action, every decision. Section structure. Core executive responsibilities. 2. Empathy, integrity, and energy exchange. Build leadership around genuine human understanding, clear ethical behavior, and daily energy contribution, not authority or control. 2.2 Truth and transparency as leadership norms. Lead through honesty, clear communication, and operational transparency, especially under pressure. 2.3 ARC, affinity reality communication for trust and unity. Use structured communication practices to build real trust, shared understanding, and team unity, horizontally and vertically. 2.4 Accountability and the model of you first. Model radical personal accountability before expecting it from others, setting the cultural tone through actions, not speeches. Executive leadership practices for cultural alignment. Daily self-audit. Did I model GWF values clearly today? Team standard checks. Did my team see, feel, and experience leadership standards, not just hear about them? Culture corrections. Address cultural drift, negativity, shortcuts, misalignment, immediately, constructively, and personally. Culture growth initiatives. Build rituals, celebrations, and recognitions that reinforce and reward value-based behaviors, not just results. Executive mindset for cultural stewardship. Culture is built by design, not default. Leadership behavior is the most powerful cultural message, louder than posters, emails, or speeches. Every guest interaction, team moment, and operational success must reflect GWF values visibly and authentically. You do not just work at GWF, you embody GWF, or you risk everything we are building. 2.1 Empathy, integrity, and energy exchange executive leadership practice. Why these core values are non-negotiable at Greenfield WorkFlow. Empathy, integrity, and energy exchange are not soft skills, they are operational standards. Empathy is not about weakness, it is about understanding human needs so you can lead effectively. Integrity is not about avoiding mistakes, it is about building absolute trust, even during difficulty. Energy exchange is not about positivity slogans, it is about conscious, structured transfer of motivation, focus, and discipline from leaders to teams and guests. These values create the invisible systems that determine whether operations flow, teams thrive, and guests bond or fail. Executive responsibilities for living. These values. 1. Practicing true empathy. Listen beyond the surface. When a guest complains or a team member struggles, listen for emotional drivers, not just surface words. Act with context awareness. Understand guest cultural backgrounds, team member life situations, operational pressure points, and adjust communication, coaching, and recovery actions appropriately without sacrificing standards. Protect psychological safety. Teams must feel safe to speak up, suggest improvements, admit mistakes, and share ideas, or innovation and accountability will die. 2. Leading with relentless integrity. Say what you mean. Do what you say. No half promises, no back-channel conversations, no official version versus real version leadership. Correct mistakes, publicly and privately. Own leadership errors openly. Protect cultural trust by modeling radical responsibility. Hold the line on ethics. Shortcuts, gray zone behavior, or compromise under pressure are absolutely unacceptable, no matter how small or temporary. Your leadership reputation is built one invisible moment at a time, or destroyed just as fast. 3. Managing energy exchange with discipline. Protect team energy. Don't dump your stress onto teams. Move through problems with calm, clarity, and constructive focus. Charge the environment positively. Bring purpose, precision, clarity, optimism, not false cheerleading, but real energized leadership. Own your emotional contagion. As a leader, your emotional state will ripple through guest areas, team spaces, and operational systems. Every shift. Reset your energy daily. Mental discipline, reflection, health practices, continued learning. Recharge intentionally so you can give sustainably. Executive leadership practices for core value execution. Daily leadership energy check. Am I transferring calm, clarity, purpose, or chaos, stress, confusion? Guest and team emotional map. Where today did I strengthen human connection, and where did I miss or weaken it? Integrity self-audit. Did every decision I made today match GWF's leadership standards, even when no one was looking? Weekly correction session. Pick one action where you could have lived these values stronger. Plan one specific upgrade for next week. Executive mindset for value embodiment. Lead the person before you lead the system. Protect trust before protecting image. Charge the environment consciously every day. Build a leadership reputation that survives pressure, success, and change because it is built on reality, not appearance. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you want loyalty, lead with empathy. If you want trust, lead with integrity. If you want energy, give energy. If you lead people first, systems second, success follows naturally. 2.2 Truth and Transparency as Leadership Norms. Executive Leadership Practice. Why truth and transparency are strategic, not optional. At Greenfield WorkFlow, truth and transparency are not about being nice. They are about operational strength, cultural resilience, and guest trust. Without truth, teams drift. Without transparency, problems grow hidden and dangerous. Without visible honesty, guest loyalty erodes silently. Leadership without radical truth-telling and operational transparency is leadership by illusion, and it collapses under real-world pressure. At GWF, executive leaders use truth and transparency as daily operational tools, as culture protectors, and as competitive advantages. Core executive responsibilities for truth and transparency. 1. Practicing radical truth-telling. Tell the whole truth. Early, share reality, even when it is uncomfortable, before problems escalate. Be brutally clear with yourself. Identify when personal blind spots, excuses, or emotional attachments are clouding leadership decisions. Be fact-first with teams. In briefings, feedback sessions, and problem-solving, start with clear facts, not guesses, emotions, or politics. Normalize truth-telling across the team. Make speaking up about problems safe, expected, and rewarded, not punished or managed. 2. Operating with structured transparency. Open up decision frameworks. Share not just what decision was made, but why it was made, how priorities were weighed, and what values drove it. Visibility into systems. Make KPIs, guest feedback, financial basics, maintenance schedules, and innovation projects visible to the right levels, hiding nothing that teams need to operate smarter and more engaged. Consistent alignment updates. Weekly, monthly leadership updates explaining shifts in strategy, standards, or challenges so teams trust leadership intentions, not rumors. Number 3, using truth and transparency to strengthen operations. Prevent cultural drift. Correct small honesty gaps immediately. Missed deadlines, overpromises, softening of critical feedback. Prevent technical failure. Share true system health data. Don't hide declining KPIs, aging equipment, resource gaps. Plan corrective action openly. Strengthen guest loyalty. Own guest mistakes fast, recover visibly, and communicate openly to rebuild stronger loyalty post-incident. Executive leadership practices for truth and transparency. Daily self-truth audit. Where today did I hold full truth in leadership conversations, and where did I soften or hide for comfort? Weekly transparency alignment. Share real status updates, not polished stories, with teams and peers. Culture monitoring. Are my teams telling me the full truth about operations and guest experience, or are they editing it for approval? Feedback loop system. Set up anonymous, structured, regular feedback systems to surface hidden truths about operations and leadership effectiveness. Executive mindset for truth and transparency. Truth builds trust faster than success. Transparency strengthens resilience faster than rewards. Leadership lives or dies based on how early, clearly, and courageously truth is practiced. At GWF, leadership without truth is not leadership. It is a temporary illusion waiting to collapse. In simple terms for executive leaders, if it's uncomfortable to say it faster. If it's risky to hide, expose it earlier. If it needs correction, correct it openly. If you build truth-first leadership, you build a team that cannot be broken by pressure. 2.3 ARC, Affinity Reality Communication, for Trust and Unity Executive Leadership Practice. Why ARC is the blueprint for operational trust. At Greenfield WorkFlow, trust, unity, and operational flow are not left to chance. They are engineered daily using ARC principles. Affinity, building genuine emotional connection. Reality, establishing shared understanding of facts and goals. Communication, maintaining clear, respectful, two-way dialogue. These 3 elements create the invisible architecture of every strong team, every loyal guest relationship, and every operational success. Without affinity, reality, and communication, teams fragment, guests detach, and systems collapse under stress. You, as an executive leader, are the daily engineer of ARC at every operational and cultural level. Foundation, the GWF ARC Leadership Book, Greenfield WorkFlow's ARC book, developed specifically for leadership development, provides the framework, models, and daily exercises to master these principles at an executive level. Every executive leader must treat the ARC book not as theory, but as daily operating instructions. ARC is not a soft skill, it is a performance system for culture, guest loyalty, operational stability, and leadership credibility. Core executive responsibilities for ARC leadership. 1. Building affinity, emotional, daily presence, greet, check in, and listen authentically to team members and guests, even under pressure. Visible care, notice small details, guest mood, team energy dips, invisible efforts. Acknowledge people personally and sincerely. Protect respect zones, no sarcasm, no coldness, no busy dismissal behaviors. Every interaction either builds or burns affinity. 2. Building reality, shared understanding. Clear, unpolished truth. Share facts as they are, not softened, hidden, or distorted to protect comfort. Alignment on goals and standards. Confirm mutual understanding. What does success look like? What does a completed task feel like operationally? Calibrate often. Reset alignment whenever standards drift. Don't wait for visible failure. 3. Building communication, mutual dialogue. Two-way systems. Set structured, regular systems for feedback, status updates, and pulse checks. Huddles, debriefs, feedback boards. Language discipline. Speak factually, simply, respectfully. No emotional loading, no blame shifting, no manipulations. Escalation by communication. When breakdowns happen, escalate through structured, solution-focused dialogue, not hidden resentment or blame games. Executive leadership practices for daily ARC execution. Morning ARC alignment review. How will I strengthen affinity, reality, and communication today, deliberately? Mid-shift ARC pulse check. Scan team energy, operational alignment, guest flow, correct drift immediately, not after shift end. End of shift ARC reflection. Where did I build stronger bonds and clearer systems today, and where did I allow gaps? Weekly ARC leadership journaling. Track patterns, wins, gaps. Self-train constantly to refine emotional, factual, and dialogue leadership precision. Executive mindset for ARC leadership connection first, truth second, open communication third, correction fourth with respect and precision. Leadership without ARC is leadership by force, manipulation, or chaos, and it cannot survive real growth or real pressure. At GWF, we build unity before we build expansion. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you want loyalty, build affinity. If you want clarity, build shared reality. If you want speed and resilience, build open communication. If you live ARC daily, you lead without needing to force loyalty or compliance. 2.4 Accountability and the model of You First executive leadership practice. Why You First is the only true leadership model. At Greenfield WorkFlow, accountability is not top-down. It starts inward and ripples outward. True leadership means holding yourself to higher standards before demanding it from others. Guests feel leadership accountability through operational precision and service integrity. Teams mirror leadership accountability, or mirror leadership excuses. At GWF, executive leaders live a radical model. You first, not you before me. You as the example of me. Core executive responsibilities for modeling accountability. 1. Personal standard discipline. Arrive prepared, mentally and operationally ready for each day, not scrambling, guessing, or improvising. Own failures publicly. If a decision fails, own it openly, factually, and immediately. No hiding, blaming, or spinning. Practice what you preach. If you require punctuality, energy, guest focus, or precision, you must model it first, visibly, and consistently. 2. Decision ownership. Own both success and fallout. When a decision succeeds, share credit broadly. When it struggles, absorb blame, fix fast, and rebuild trust. Make decisions transparently. Explain your frameworks, values, and priorities in decisions, not for permission, but for leadership modeling. Follow through without delay. Promises made must be promises delivered. No waiting for reminders or apologies for delay. 3. Team and system accountability leadership. Correct in real time. Correct operational and cultural drift immediately, not just when convenient, not when it's too late. Hold to standard, not emotion. Feedback is based on objective gaps against operational or cultural standards, not based on mood, favoritism, or frustration. Structure support systems. Build systems, training, reporting, set, reflection that make accountability the easy, normal, daily path, not the exceptional or fearful one. Executive leadership practices for accountability mastery daily accountability audit. Where today did I embody the standards I expect from others, and where did I drift? Midweek promise check. Have I delivered fully on every promise made to teams, guests, and peers this week? End of week ownership reflection. What results this week can I trace directly back to my leadership, good or bad? Monthly leadership reset. Publicly reset or recommit to leadership promises visibly in leadership team meetings, showing active self-correction is strength, not weakness. Executive mindset for accountability leadership. Blame nothing, own everything, model first, correct cleanly, grow visibly. Leadership is not about being perfect, it's about being visibly responsible and setting a tone that pulls others up naturally. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you want responsibility, model it first. If you want execution, execute personally first. If you want discipline, lead with visible self-discipline. If you want loyalty, earn it daily through ownership. You first, always. 3. People development and empowerment executive leadership overview. Why people development is core to executive leadership. At Greenfield WorkFlow, people are not a resource. They are the ecosystem. Systems, service, sustainability, guest loyalty, none exist without strong, empowered people. Leadership success is measured not by personal wins, but by how many capable, confident leaders you grow around you. Your legacy at GWF will not be defined by your tasks completed. It will be defined by the people you activated, uplifted, and trusted into excellence. Empowering people is not about giving away control. It is about building stronger systems through stronger humans, humans who think, act, and lead independently while aligned with GWF's vision and values. Section structure, core executive responsibilities. 3.1 Coaching, mentoring, and role modeling. Shift from task management to leadership multiplication through daily coaching, structured mentoring, and high-standard role modeling. 3.2 Building career pathways and recognition systems. Build visible, real career maps, development milestones, and genuine recognition systems, ensuring talent growth is systematic, not accidental. 3.3 Feedback loops and constructive communication. Create structured positive feedback loops, balancing real-time corrections with trust-building communication that elevates performance. 3.4 Cross-training and talent activation strategies. Cross-skill, rotate, challenge, and activate hidden potential, building versatile, agile, future-ready teams that strengthen GWF operations and culture. Executive leadership practices for people development. Daily leadership check. Whom did I grow today and how? Weekly talent scan. Where is potential hidden, underused, or blocked, and how can I activate it? Monthly growth mapping. Review team progression versus operational goals, ensuring real leadership cultivation, not just functional maintenance. Continuous feedback discipline. Correct early, celebrate consistently, grow deliberately. No silent disengagement, no delayed course corrections. Executive mindset for people empowerment. People are not resources. Leadership is not control, it is cultivation. Trust grows when leaders are consistent, structured, and genuinely invested in human success. Every team member's improvement reflects your leadership discipline, not just their own potential. At GWF, if you are not building leaders, you are not leading. 3.1 Coaching, mentoring, and role modeling, executive leadership practice. Why coaching, mentoring, and role modeling are non-negotiable. At Greenfield WorkFlow, the strength of leadership is measured by the leaders it creates, not the followers it controls. Coaching builds daily competence. Mentoring builds future leadership capacity. Role modeling builds culture and operational resilience without words. If you're not coaching, mentoring, and modeling daily, you are not leading at GWF executive level. Core executive responsibilities for people growth. 1. Coaching, skill and behavior building. Daily, inflow micro-coaching, correct operational drift, timing, service, system execution, immediately, not days later. Embed new skills through hands-on, side-by-side practice, not just instruction. Positive performance calibration, reinforce correct behaviors visibly and verbally. That's the correct timing on the guest reset, exactly our standard. That's the communication flow we want between engineering and cleaning. Structured development planning. Map clear technical, service, and leadership skill progression paths for team members, Set visible targets for upgrades. 2. Mentoring, personal growth and leadership cultivation. Anchor relationships, not just skills. Build consistent check-ins, trust dialogues, and career mapping sessions with high-potential team members. Teach strategic thinking. Move beyond tactical training. Teach how to assess risks, forecast outcomes, prioritize system health, and protect culture. Share personal leadership lessons. Be transparent about leadership mistakes, corrections, systems learned. Show that leadership is a craft, not a pedestal. Challenge future leaders early. Stretch team members through real responsibility, not simulated challenges. Small leadership tests early prepare for full operational leadership later. Number 3, role modeling, daily living of standards. Operational excellence. First, move through guest areas, kitchens, service zones, mechanical spaces, embodying calm, organized, guest-centered, standard-protecting energy. Cultural standard living. Reflect affinity, reality, communication, arc in every guest and team interaction. Model every value you expect others to embody. Energy and professionalism. Reset zones with your presence. Bring focused attention, structured action, respectful dialogue wherever you are, silently lifting standards. Executive leadership practices for multiplying talent. Daily micro-coaching. Goal: correct or calibrate at least one operational or behavioral standard every shift. Weekly mentorship check. What leadership skill did I teach, explain, or transfer this week to my direct reports? Role modeling reflection. Where today did my visible actions set the tone for operational precision, guest engagement, and cultural excellence? Monthly talent activation review. Identify at least one team member ready for new responsibilities. Plan structured leadership stretch assignments. Executive mindset for leadership. Multiplication. Train early. Stretch often. Celebrate improvements fast. Correct deviations immediately but respectfully. Live standards before expecting others to replicate them. If you want a stronger operation, build stronger leaders. If you want a stronger culture, model it daily. If you want sustainability, grow people before growing systems. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you want excellence, coach it. If you want succession, mentor. If you want culture, model it. If you want future icons, start building them today. Quietly, daily, relentlessly. 3.2 Building career pathways and recognition systems. Executive leadership practice. Why career growth and recognition must be structured. At Greenfield WorkFlow, hope is not a strategy for talent growth. Clear, visible, structured career pathways and authentic recognition systems are mandatory. People do not stay loyal because of slogans. They stay because they can see, feel, and measure their own professional growth. Recognition is not about awards. It is about reinforcing behaviors and standards that protect guest experience, operational excellence, and culture. At GWF, executive leaders do not just manage team members. They design futures and activate ambition through real opportunities. Core executive responsibilities for growth and recognition. 1. Building career pathways. Create visible progression maps. Every operational and leadership role must have visible, achievable growth steps, from entry to expert to leader. Skill-based milestones. Map real technical, service, operational, and leadership competencies needed for each stage, not just time-based promotions. Mentorship integration. Link mentorship programs to career pathways. Mentor assignments shift based on team members' pathway stage. Stretch assignments and projects. Offer leadership projects, cross-training missions, special task forces to accelerate readiness for next career levels. Number 2, building recognition systems. Behavior-based recognition. Reward behaviors that match GWF's core values: empathy, integrity, energy, sustainability, guest-first excellence. Not just financial or output numbers. Public and private recognition balance. Public, celebrate winsibly at shift huddles, meetings, newsletters. Private, one-on-one praise, personal thank you notes, growth pathway discussions. Timely recognition. Recognize immediately after achievement. Avoid delayed or batch recognition that feels disconnected. Tangible recognition. Where appropriate, tie recognition to real career progress, skill certifications, leadership badges, salary or responsibility upgrades. Career growth, culture maintenance. Regular career conversations. Check in on team member aspirations every 90 days. Do not wait for annual reviews. Transparent opportunity flow. Announce leadership openings, task force positions, and new roles clearly, giving visibility to career growth pathways for all, not a chosen few. Track development progress. Keep simple, live records of career steps achieved, skills acquired, feedback given. Growth is visible and managed, not left to memory. Executive leadership practices for career and recognition growth. Daily micro-recognition. Where today did someone visibly live GWF standards, and how did I recognize them? Weekly growth opportunity scan. Where can I offer one person a stretch assignment or next-level challenge this week? Monthly career progression audit. Review team members' pathway status. Who is ready for advancement? Who needs coaching? Who needs a shift? Quarterly recognition campaign. Organize a leadership-driven recognition event to reset, reinforce, and celebrate cultural standards visibly. Executive mindset for growth leadership. Build futures systematically, not randomly. Recognize standards visibly, not silently. Tie recognition to values, not just outcomes. Create opportunities faster than complaints about no growth. If you grow people systematically, operational excellence becomes self-renewing. If you fail to grow people visibly, you will lose talent invisibly. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you want leaders, map their path. If you want loyalty, recognize their growth. If you want excellence to multiply, structure it into daily leadership. You are the architect of every future leader at GWF. 3.3 Feedback loops and constructive communication. Executive leadership practice. Why feedback is a core operational system, not a side activity. At Greenfield WorkFlow, feedback is not a performance review event. It is the daily circulatory system of operational excellence and cultural trust. Without structured feedback loops, operational drift is inevitable. Without constructive communication, trust erodes quietly until performance collapses visibly. Without leadership modeling real feedback habits, teams either become passive or defensive, both fatal for sustainable success. At GWF, executive leaders build, protect, and strengthen daily feedback systems like they maintain critical life support infrastructure. Core executive responsibilities for feedback leadership. 1. Building real-time feedback loops. In-shift micro-feedback. Correct or praise in the flow of operations, not just at shift end or monthly reviews. Clear, specific behavior-focused feedback. Example, weak, good job today. Strong, you handled the guest reset with perfect timing and respectful language, exactly our standard. Two-way feedback channels. Set structured systems, huddles, surveys, one-on-ones, where team members can surface concerns, ideas, risks, without fear of punishment. Anonymous feedback option. For surfacing hidden operational or cultural risks, ensure anonymity is protected and feedback is acted on visibly. Number 2, delivering constructive communication. Fact first, emotion second. State observable facts before describing emotional or operational impacts. Keep tone calm, direct, and solution-focused. DES model application. Describe what specifically happened. Express how it impacts the system or culture. Specify what standard or correction is expected. Consequence, the operational or cultural impact if behavior changes or doesn't. Protect dignity while correcting. Correct behaviors, not personalities. Maintain team member dignity even during tough conversations. Professionalism builds loyalty even during correction. 3. Feedback. Timing discipline immediate, within same shift if possible. Praise or correct while the memory of the action is still fresh. Private for corrections, public for praise. Protect team dignity during feedback. Amplify cultural standards during public celebrations. Scheduled review rhythm. Weekly tactical feedback. Monthly strategic development feedback. Quarterly leadership progression feedback. Executive leadership practices for feedback excellence. Daily microfeedback target. Deliver at least 3 real-time feedback moments per shift. 2 positive calibrations, 1 constructive correction. Weekly 2-way feedback pulse. Create structured space for team feedback. No more than 5 questions, always actionable. Monthly team feedback audit. Review what feedback is flowing, what is blocked, and where operational or cultural risks are building. Quarterly communication skill calibration. Refine leadership communication techniques. Coach direct reports and feedback modeling as well. Executive mindset for feedback leadership. Feedback is an operational system, not a personal judgment tool. Feedback must be visible, structured, consistent, not emotional, rare, or reactive. Leadership maturity is measured by how early, cleanly, and constructively feedback is given and how well feedback is received without defensiveness. If you want to build a high-performance, loyal, guest-centered team, build and protect your feedback systems daily. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you see it, feedback it. If you expect it, model it. If you want loyalty, feedback with dignity. If you want operational excellence, feedback must flow constantly in both directions. 3.4 Cross-training and talent activation strategies. Executive leadership practice. Why cross-training and activation are executive imperatives. At Greenfield WorkFlow, static teams are fragile teams. Dynamic, cross-trained, talent-activated teams are resilient, agile, and future-proof. Cross-training protects operations from being hostage to single points of failure. Talent activation reveals hidden leadership potential early, while people still have room to grow inside the project. Agility and resilience are not talents. They are leadership choices made daily through structured action. At GWF, executive leaders design, drive, and protect dynamic, versatile teams, not rigid role players. Core executive responsibilities for cross-training and activation. 1. Cross-training for operational agility skill map. Every team member identify core strengths, growth areas, and cross-training opportunities for every person. Design cross-training tracks. Build structured internal programs. Kitchen, dining room, guest empathy and operational flow. Front of house, maintenance, service recovery understanding. Admin, operational leadership, system visibility and strategic planning. Schedule cross-training rotations. Every team member should touch a secondary or complementary operational system at least once per quarter. Certify and recognize cross-skills. Give visible credit, cross-training certifications, skill badges, leadership track enrollment. 2. Talent activation for leadership multiplication spot hidden potential. Early, not just technical skill, look for energy transfer, calm under pressure, system thinking, guest-first reflexes. Design stretch assignments, leadership of small projects, task forces, pilot initiatives, or problem-solving squads. Accelerate high-potential growth. Give real responsibility early, not fake leadership without authority or decision-making power. Balance activation load. Challenge future leaders without burning them out. Support with coaching, recognition, and skill growth. 3. Building a culture of versatility. Normalize mobility. Make cross-training a badge of honor, not a punishment. Highlight stories of versatile team members growing into leadership faster. Protect operational redundancy. Ensure no critical guest-facing system or maintenance process relies on a single person. Prepare for crisis flexibility. Cross-training and talent activation ensure that GWF operations remain strong even under absenteeism, emergencies, or expansion pressures. Executive leadership practices for cross-training and activation. Daily talent visibility check. Who on my team is ready for the next stretch, and what cross-skill can I activate today? Weekly skill rotation action. Identify at least one cross-training opportunity and schedule the rotation. Monthly talent activation review. Review and adjust team growth plans based on real-time operational needs and emerging leadership capacities. Quarterly versatility audit. Ensure no critical guest service, maintenance, or operational system is reliant on a single person without trained backups. Executive mindset for building dynamic teams. Stability is built through versatility, not rigidity. Leadership is multiplied through real responsibility, not speeches about potential. Guest experience protection requires team adaptability under every condition. If you want a project that grows without collapse, build a team that evolves faster than external pressure. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you want resilience, cross-train it. If you want future leaders, activate them early. If you want true strength, spread it across the system. Build a team that grows even when you're not in the room. 4. System and operations leadership, executive leadership overview. Why executives must lead systems, not just people. At Greenfield WorkFlow, people do not fail because they are unwilling. They fail because systems are unclear, unstable, or inconsistent. Systems shape behavior. Systems protect standards. Systems multiply leadership even when executives are not present. A GWF executive leader builds, maintains, upgrades, and corrects operational systems daily because excellence depends on it. You lead people through systems, not instead of them. When systems are strong, guest experience becomes predictable and excellent. Team energy becomes focused and sustainable. Operational costs stay low without cutting quality. Expansion becomes safe, fast, and culture protected. When systems are weak, talent leaks, standards collapse, leadership is exhausted firefighting instead of strategic growth. Section structure, core executive responsibilities. 4.1 Managing systems, not people. Shift focus from personality management to operational system management, ensuring that environments, processes, and rhythms drive daily excellence. 4.2 Delegation with precision and purpose. Delegate tasks and ownership correctly, with structured clarity, timelines, accountability layers, and support. 4.3 SOP adherence, emergency response, and crisis flexibility. Enforce operational discipline during routine times and maintain flexible leadership frameworks during emergencies or service disruptions. 4.4 Time, tools, resource, and energy optimization. Lead resource management like a master strategist, minimizing waste, maximizing readiness, protecting team energy flow. Executive leadership practices for system mastery. Daily system visibility check. Which system today is under strain? Operational, guest service, maintenance, feedback, training. Weekly system upgrade scan. Which one system upgrade will create the largest positive ripple effect this week? Monthly system health review. Prevent crises before they emerge by assessing trends, warning signs, and small breakdowns early. Quarterly system evolution planning. Innovate operational systems intentionally to keep pace with guest needs, environmental demands, and team capacity. Executive mindset for system leadership. Systems first, emotions second, precision over improvisation, preventive corrections over reactive firefighting. Clear systems create free, high-performing people. If you want sustainable excellence at GWF, your real product as a leader is the quality of systems you leave behind. 4.1 Managing systems, not people. Executive leadership practice. Why systems, not personalities, are the core of leadership. At Greenfield WorkFlow, people naturally rise or fall based on the strength of the systems they operate within. If the system is clear, fair, and structured, teams thrive. If the system is chaotic, inconsistent, or poorly enforced, even talented people will struggle or disengage. You are not managing individuals at the executive level. You are managing environments, systems, rhythms, and structures that drive behavior. Core executive responsibilities for system management. 1. Build systems that define excellence. Clear guest journey mapping. Every touchpoint, from entry to exit, must have a visible standard and expected emotional impact. Clear operational flow mapping. Each task, guest reset, kitchen prep, maintenance check, must have a structured, logical, visible flow. No guessing, no hidden knowledge. Clear role and responsibility structures. Every team member must know what they own, how success is measured, where support systems exist. 2. Maintain system visibility and integrity. Daily system walkthroughs. Do not just check tasks. Check if systems are being followed, understood, and delivering the intended experience. System correction. Before behavior correction, when issues arise, check the system first. Was the expectation clear? Was the flow functional? Was the support available? Prevent system decay. Systems will decay under operational pressure unless constantly maintained and reinforced by leadership presence. 3. Protect culture through system leadership. Protect values through systems. Systems must enforce empathy, integrity, sustainability, service, not just speed or output. Design systems to reward right behaviors. Build reward and feedback loops into operational systems. Visible peer recognition. Leadership fast-tracking based on standard living, not just output. Culture as a system. Rituals, briefings, debriefs, huddles, guest storytelling. These are cultural systems that need as much attention as technical ones. Executive leadership practices for system mastery. Daily system health scan. What system today is weakest? Guest service, operational tasking, maintenance, leadership pipeline. Behavior symptom correction discipline. When problems emerge, correct the system first, then coach individual behaviors if needed. Weekly system adjustment ritual. Micro-adjust one system every week. Small upgrades compound into operational resilience. Monthly system feedback review. Collect structured team feedback on what systems are supporting them and where friction remains. Executive mindset for system leadership. Don't personalize operational gaps. Systemize solutions. Don't control behavior. Design environments that channel behavior naturally. Don't react to chaos. Upgrade systems to prevent chaos. At GWF, executive leadership is not management of people. It is mastery of systems that empower people to manage excellence themselves. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you want better results, fix the system. If you want better loyalty, strengthen the culture system. If you want better guest experiences, upgrade the service systems. If you manage systems, people will manage excellence naturally. 4.2 Delegation with Precision and Purpose, Executive Leadership Practice. Why delegation is leadership, not abdication. At Greenfield WorkFlow, delegation is not handing off tasks. It is handing over ownership with structure, clarity, and trust. Poor delegation weakens systems and burns out teams. Precise delegation multiplies leadership strength and grows operational resilience. If you delegate randomly, you lose control. If you delegate precisely, you multiply execution capacity and leadership loyalty. Core executive responsibilities for delegation mastery 1. Delegating ownership, not just tasks. Define the outcome, not just the action. Reset the dining room to guest ready in 5 minutes after peak service, not wipe tables and sweep floors. Explain the why, not just the what. Link every delegated responsibility to GWF's guest standards, operational excellence, or cultural values. Assign real ownership. Make the assignee responsible for the outcome, not constant micromanaged steps. 2. Structuring delegation for success. Use the 4-part delegation framework. Clarity. Define what success looks like. Outcomes, standards, timing. Resources. Ensure the right tools, access, support are available. Authority. Make clear what decisions they can make independently. Review points. Set specific check-ins or checkpoints without hovering or micromanaging. Tailor delegation to readiness. Delegate based on the team member's current skill and confidence level. Push slightly beyond comfort but within support range. 3. Protecting operational systems through delegation. Delegate system protection. First, before delegating a task, ensure the person understands how their work fits into the full guest experience and operational flow. Require system reporting. After delegated work, require a mini report or debrief. What worked? What struggled? Where could the system be strengthened? Use delegation as a leadership filter. Who consistently protects standards through delegated responsibilities? These are your future supervisors and managers. Executive leadership practices for delegation excellence. Daily delegation exercise. What ownership task today can I delegate to stretch and grow a team member without risking system standards? Weekly delegation reflection. Where did I delegate cleanly this week? And where did I create confusion, drift, or stress? Monthly leadership growth audit. Track how delegated ownership tasks are building new leadership skills across your teams. Executive mindset for delegation. Delegate to grow, not to unload. Delegate with clarity, not assumptions. Delegate with trust, not control. Review and support, but do not rescue unless necessary. If you want real leadership depth at GWF, delegate ownership, not just labor. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you want stronger teams, delegate outcomes. If you want faster systems, delegate authority wisely. If you want scalable leadership, delegate leadership daily. Delegation done right is leadership training, not task dumping. 4.3 SOAP adherence, emergency response, and crisis flexibility. Executive leadership practice. Why discipline and flexibility are both non-negotiable. At Greenfield WorkFlow, operational excellence depends on 2 muscles. Strict SOP adherence under normal conditions. Structured flexibility during emergencies or crises. If you only have discipline but no flexibility, you break under stress. If you only have flexibility without discipline, you create chaos. At the executive level, you must master both. Core executive responsibilities for operational stability. 1. Enforcing daily SOP discipline. SOPs are the baseline, not the maximum. Every guest service, maintenance check, food safety action, and communication rhythm must follow designed SOPs precisely. Inspect, correct, reinforce. Daily walkthroughs, spot checks, coaching, and correction, making SOP adherence normal, not exceptional. No silent drift. Allowing small SOP deviations silently is leadership failure. Correct early, explain the operational risk if left unchecked. Celebrate SOP excellence. Reinforce teams hitting standards cleanly and proudly. Cultural excellence is built by what you notice and praise daily. 2. Leading emergency response correctly. Prioritize human safety first. In fire, flood, electrical, or mechanical emergencies, guest and team safety overrides system protection. Follow emergency SOPs with calm authority. evacuation, fire suppression, first aid, system shutdowns. Lead visibly, calmly, and according to trained protocols. Communicate early and often. During emergencies, over-communicate with teams and guests. Status updates, safety confirmations, recovery timelines. Document and debrief post-emergency. Log actions immediately after control is regained. Conduct debriefs to upgrade systems and close response gaps. 3. Applying structured crisis flexibility. Adapt within principles. Protect core standards, safety, guest dignity, operational integrity, while adapting steps or roles as needed. Empower trained decision-making. Pre-train teams to make fast, values-based decisions under pressure, instead of freezing or escalating unnecessarily. Defer to SOPs unless they break. Always default to SOPs. Improvise only when trained pathways are blocked or unsafe. Communicate why, when flexing. When adapting on the fly, explain clearly to teams. Normal protocol isn't possible because X, so today we are doing Y for safety service continuity. Executive leadership practices for operational resilience. Daily SOP focus point. What critical system must be reinforced or recalibrated today for operational safety? Weekly emergency drill practice. Small scenario drills, evacuation practice, fire equipment checks, guest crisis recovery simulations. Monthly crisis flexibility review. Debrief past near misses or real emergencies. Extract lessons, reinforce or upgrade protocols. Executive mindset for balanced discipline and flexibility. SOPs are protection, not limitations. Flexibility is intelligent adaptation, not random improvisation. Emergency leadership must look calm and structured, even if under internal pressure. Operational discipline must be a visible leadership habit, not just a training requirement. At GWF, guests trust us not because emergencies never happen, but because when they do, we lead professionally, visibly, and flawlessly. In simple terms for executive leaders, if it's routine, enforce SOPs ruthlessly. If it's an emergency, lead human first with structured calm. If the system breaks, flex smartly without losing values. Protect people, protect standards, protect the future, even under fire. 4.4 Time, Tools, Resource, and Energy Optimization Executive Leadership Practice. Why optimization is a leadership core skill. At Greenfield WorkFlow, excellence is not built by working harder. It is built by using time, tools, resources, and human energy smarter. Time lost is opportunity lost. Tools mismanaged are systems weakened. Resources wasted are future growth stolen. Energy drained is leadership failure, individually and across teams. At the executive level, optimizing these 4 areas daily is not optional. It is foundational leadership discipline. Core executive responsibilities for operational optimization. 1. Time management as a strategic weapon. Protect high-value time slots. Guard the first 90 minutes of each shift for strategic actions, inspections, guest flow calibration, system corrections, not minor admin. Batch low-value tasks. Group minor admin, non-urgent communications, approvals into designated time blocks. Protect operational flow. Respect other people's time. Start meetings on time. End meetings with action steps. No unnecessary meetings. Solve via structured updates wherever possible. 2. Tool management for system stability. Daily tool health checks. Inspect operational and maintenance tools before use. No broken, dirty, or unsafe equipment allowed into service. Tool readiness systems. Create visible check-in, check-out, maintenance logs, and calibration schedules for critical tools. Protect guest zone tool management. No tools left unsecured, unsupervised, or in view of guests at any time. 3. Resource optimization for sustainable operations. Inventory discipline. Maintain real-time visibility into critical supplies, kitchen, housekeeping, maintenance, safety. Prevent waste through training. Train staff on correct portioning, usage, and resource stewardship. Do not rely only on management control. Vendor and supply chain alignment. Ensure vendors meet GWF standards for sustainability, quality, and delivery reliability. 4. Energy management for leadership, sustainability. Protect team energy zones. Structure shifts, breaks, task rotations to avoid burnout cycles, especially during peak service periods. Lead energy by example. Move with purpose, not rush. Stay calm under pressure. Reset personal energy daily. Physical fitness, mindfulness, reflection practices. End each shift with recovery, not collapse. Short, structured team resets after intense services. Acknowledge effort. Celebrate small wins. Set tomorrow's intention calmly. Executive leadership practices for daily optimization. Daily time protection audit. Where today must I protect my high-value time to protect guest experience and operational standards? Daily tool and resource health check. Which critical tool or resource must I personally verify today? Weekly energy system check. Which team or system is draining energy unnecessarily, and how can I reset it this week? Monthly resource waste audit. Review purchasing usage and wastage patterns. Correct silently leaking operational costs. Executive mindset for optimization. Time is a weapon or a weakness. Tools are operational integrity or operational risk. Resources are future protection or future loss. Energy is momentum or slow collapse. At GWF, true executive leaders master daily flow, not through slogans, but through operational precision every hour, every shift, every week. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you waste time, you lose opportunities. If you misuse tools, you break trust. If you waste resources, you limit growth. If you drain energy, you break culture. Master operational flow, and the future flows toward you. Introduction. 5. Strategic thinking and decision-making. Executive leadership overview. Why strategy and decision-making define true executive leadership. At Greenfield WorkFlow, execution without strategy is wasted energy. Decisions without frameworks are dangerous. Strategic thinking protects systems during growth, pressure, and change. Structured decision-making preserves guest loyalty, brand trust, operational resilience, and team health. Leadership maturity is measured by the clarity and courage of decisions under uncertainty, not just activity levels or task completion. At GWF, executive leaders are not just operational managers. They are strategic architects, risk managers, and decision makers who protect the project's future daily. Section structure. Core executive responsibilities. 5.1 First Principles Leadership. Lead by deconstructing complexity into fundamental truths and rebuilding decisions from reality, not assumptions, emotions, or pressure. 5.2 Executive Decision Framework. Use structured decision systems that balance data, intuition, values, guest-first standards, and operational impact. 5.3 Balancing risk, reward, and impact. Master the ability to weigh short-term and long-term effects, system risks, resource allocations, and brand integrity in every major decision. 5.4 Case-based learning. Crisis and innovation labs. Build strategic intelligence by reviewing real-world successes and failures, extracting leadership principles and upgrading operational decision DNA. Executive leadership practices for strategic growth. Daily strategic lens check. What decisions today affect GWF's next 6 months? Not just today's guest or shift. Weekly First Principles thinking session. Where have assumptions crept in, and where must I strip operations or leadership decisions back to fundamentals? Monthly decision quality audit. Review the last 5 major decisions. Analyze quality, process, blind spots, and operational outcomes. Quarterly crisis simulation labs. Train leadership teams under simulated pressure to build fast, value-aligned decision reflexes. Executive mindset for strategic leadership activity is not leadership, strategic execution is. Feeling busy is not leadership, protecting future system health through intelligent decisions is. Surviving a shift is not success, building systems that survive growth, turnover, competition, and crises is. At GWF, executive leaders build futures daily through precision thinking, courage in decision-making, and discipline in execution. 5.1 First Principles Leadership Executive Leadership Practice. Why First Principles thinking is core to true leadership. At Greenfield WorkFlow, complexity is normal. Confusion is optional. Many leaders operate based on tradition, assumptions, or emotional reaction. True executive leaders operate by breaking problems down to first principles, the basic truths that do not change under pressure. First principles thinking cuts through noise, politics, fear, and guesswork, building decisions and strategies on reality, not habit or opinion. Core executive responsibilities for First Principles Leadership. 1. Break problems into first principles. Strip away assumptions. Challenge every system, process, and expectation. Is this true? Is this necessary? What is the real goal here? Define non-negotiable realities. What physical, operational, guest experience, or resource truths are unchangeable? Start there, not on what normally happens. Separate principles from methods. Principles are goals that must be achieved, food safety, guest emotional connection. Methods can be changed, improved, innovated, e.g. service flows, kitchen layouts, guest greeting styles. 2. Build systems up from first principles. Start with the end reality. What must guests feel? What must teams achieve? What must systems protect? Design backward, operate forward. Build new service models, maintenance systems, guest rituals, or leadership flows based on outcomes, not inherited traditions. Protect system integrity. Do not allow shortcut drift or emotional override to contaminate decisions once designed. 3. Train teams in first principles thinking. Teach questioning frameworks. Encourage team members to ask, what are we really trying to achieve here? Is this the best way or just the familiar way? Create space for operational innovation. Host first principles challenge sessions. If we had to redesign this process today from scratch, what would we keep, improve, eliminate? Promote reality over tradition. Celebrate when teams upgrade systems based on first principles, not just when they do what has always been done. Executive leadership practices for first principles execution. Daily operational reality check. What today are we doing out of tradition, not out of necessity or best practice? Weekly system deconstruction exercise. Take one system or ritual and strip it down to core goals. Rebuild smarter if needed. Monthly innovation lab. Select one cross-functional team and redesign a part of operations from first principles up. Quarterly decision audit. Review strategic decisions. Check. Was this decision built on real first principles or assumptions and habits? Executive mindset for first principles leadership. Assume tradition is wrong until proven right. Assume assumptions are dangerous until tested against reality. Assume improvement is possible until exhausted by better truth-based models. At GWF, executive leaders do not copy the past. They rebuild the future based on what is true, necessary, and visionary. In simple terms for executive leaders, if it's assumed, question it. If it's tradition, revalidate it. If it's emotion-based, fact-check it. If it's built on first principles, trust it and lead from it. 5.2 Executive Decision Framework, Executive Leadership Practice. Why decision frameworks separate leaders from managers? At Greenfield WorkFlow, decisions at the executive level are never random. They are structured, tested, and aligned to core principles. Good decisions protect guests, teams, systems, brand, and future growth. Weak or rushed decisions create silent operational collapse over time. Decision fatigue is real, but disciplined frameworks preserve clarity and leadership stamina. At GWF, executive leaders use structured decision frameworks because instinct without structure is gambling, not leadership. Core executive responsibilities for strategic decision-making. 1. Use a structured decision framework. Every major decision must pass through these 5 layers. A. First principles foundation. What are the non-negotiable truths in this situation? Strip assumptions. Focus on reality. B. Guest first standard. How does this decision protect, improve, or risk the guest experience? Guest emotional loyalty is non-negotiable. C. Team and operational impact. How does this affect team energy, operational flow, cultural strength, and system resilience? D. Risk, reward, impact balance. What is the best case gain? What is the worst case risk? What is the real world impact if either happens? E. Alignment with GWF vision and values. Is this decision aligned with our why, belonging, sustainability, creation? If not, why would it still be worth doing, or should it be rethought? 2. Apply decision speed discipline fast where safe, routine low-risk decisions, minor resource approvals, minor service flow adjustments should be made within minutes or hours, not delayed. Slow where critical, strategic hires, new operational models, guest experience innovations, crisis responses. Take structured time, scenario modeling, and leadership alignment. Visibility of decision intent. Communicate major decision-making processes to leadership peers and direct reports, protecting trust even during uncertainty. 3. Protect decision integrity. No emotional hijacking. If upset, excited, exhausted, or pressured, pause, breathe, run the framework before committing. No hidden agendas. Every decision must be judged on GWF operational and cultural standards, not personal convenience or status preservation. No silence on consequences. Every major decision must include operational communication about possible side effects and contingency planning. Executive leadership practices for strategic decision excellence. Daily micro-decision check. Is this decision aligned to guest-first standards, operational flow, and GWF vision? Weekly major decision reflection. Review the biggest decision made each week. Was the framework followed? What was missed? What improved because of it? monthly decision audit with leadership teams. Share and analyze strategic decisions together to elevate group decision intelligence. Quarterly scenario planning sessions. Practice leadership decision-making in simulated future crisis or innovation labs. Executive mindset for strategic decision-making. Speed is powerful when guided by clarity. Delay is necessary when stakes are critical. Courage is required when decisions are unpopular but correct. Transparency is mandatory for building trust, even when outcomes are uncertain. At GWF, executive leaders are chosen and remembered by the quality, clarity, and courage of their decisions. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you guess, you gamble. If you use structure, you lead. If you protect guests, teams, and the future with every decision, you build operational immortality. 5.3 Balancing Risk, Reward, and Impact. Executive Leadership Practice. Why risk-reward impact thinking is core to strategic leadership. At Greenfield WorkFlow, every executive decision, big or small, carries consequences. Operationally, culturally, financially, environmentally, emotionally, team and guest experience. At GWF, executive leaders do not just react to surface pressure. They analyze the deeper risk, reward, and long-term impact every time. Core executive responsibilities for risk-reward impact leadership. 1. Always map risk before acting. Identify immediate risks, operational delays, guest dissatisfaction, safety compromises, morale drops. Identify long-term risks, system fragility, talent attrition, brand erosion, cultural drift. Classify critical, threatens system or guest safety. Moderate, causes operational friction or minor financial cost. Minor, recoverable within normal shift rhythms. If you don't name the risks, you can't manage them. 2. Calculate real reward, not just hopes. Best case gains. What real measurable gain is possible? Not just it would be nice. Speed to reward. How fast will benefits appear? Immediate shift level gain, quarterly brand impact, annual financial leverage? Guest and team value. Who feels the reward first? The guest, the team, the system, the leadership circle. 3. Measure the broader impact radius. Guest experience stability. Will this action ripple positively or negatively across guest emotional attachment? Team energy and morale. Will this decision energize, empower, or demoralize? System resilience. Will this change strengthen operational systems or inject stress points into already delicate flows? Cultural alignment. Will this support GWF's values of belonging, sustainability, creation, or slowly erode them under tactical winds? Executive leadership practices for balanced decision-making, risk-reward impact matrix. Before major actions, quick draft. Top 3 risks, top 3 rewards, top 3 impact zones. If risk outweighs reward without contingency, redesign. If reward outweighs risk and strengthens systems, proceed. Weekly risk radar. Scan projects, initiatives, systems. Where are small risks compounding invisibly? Monthly strategic review. Post-action audits of major decisions. Were risks accurately judged? Were rewards achieved? Were impacts clean, managed, or messy? Executive mindset for risk-reward impact thinking. Smart leadership is not risk avoidance. It is risk selection and reward optimization. Bravery without structure is recklessness. Caution without courage is stagnation. Protecting GWF's operational future requires clear-eyed, structured, courageous leadership thinking every week, especially under pressure. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you see only reward, you are blind. If you see only risk, you are paralyzed. If you balance both with clear impact focus, you lead with real strength. 5.4 Case-based learning, crisis and innovation labs, executive leadership practice. Why case-based learning creates real strategic intelligence. At Greenfield WorkFlow, textbook knowledge is not enough. Leadership maturity grows through dissecting real-world decisions, successes and failures, and upgrading judgment through lived patterns. Crisis exposes true operational weaknesses and leadership gaps. Innovation pressure reveals whether systems and teams can adapt. Learning from real cases compresses decades of experience into focused, usable leadership upgrades. At GWF, executive leaders are trained to think, react, and build systems better through structured case-based learning, not guesswork, memory, or opinion. Core executive responsibilities for case-based strategic development. 1. Crisis labs, studying leadership under pressure. Analyze past crises, internal GWF incidents, guest issues, operational breakdowns, leadership collapses. External industry crises, public failures, safety breaches, brand collapses. Deconstruct actions taken. What immediate actions were correct? What long-term consequences were created? Where did leadership succeed or fail visibly? Extract systems lessons. Was it a people failure or a system failure? What structural corrections prevent recurrence? Practice crisis simulations. Quarterly drills simulating realistic operational, guest, or environmental crises. Training fast, values-driven decision-making. 2. Innovation labs, studying breakthrough leadership. Analyze past innovations, internal GWF breakthroughs, guest journey upgrades, sustainability programs, team culture innovations. External industry innovations, service model revolutions, brand loyalty transformations. Deconstruct decision chains. What risks were taken? How were small wins tested before scaling? What system protections allowed successful innovation without collapse? Activate mini innovation labs, monthly low-risk lab projects to trial service, kitchen, maintenance, guest flow, or leadership upgrades, then scale successful ones systematically. 3. Building leadership reflexes through case learning, operational pattern recognition. Train to spot risk patterns, opportunity windows, warning signs faster through real-world examples. Values-based decision reflex training. Always ask, in crisis, how would I protect guests, teams, systems, and brands simultaneously? In innovation, how would I scale success without burning the culture? Crisis and innovation journaling. Executive leaders maintain personal logs of case lessons. What key patterns emerge? What system upgrades do they trigger? What leadership behaviors must be adjusted? Executive leadership practices for case-based growth. Monthly case study session. Break down a real GWF or industry case during leadership huddles or solo study. Quarterly simulation labs. Run leadership team simulations. Structured, realistic, fast response scenario drills. Annual innovation challenge. Each executive leader must sponsor at least one system, service, or culture innovation. Tracked, measured, debriefed. Executive mindset for case-based mastery. Real leadership is built in moments of pressure, ambiguity, and accelerated decision-making. Every operational breakdown or innovation moment is a free masterclass, if you are humble, curious, and disciplined enough to learn. At GWF, executive leaders compress time by learning from every crisis, every success, every miss, and every system evolution. Leadership is built case by case, if you are awake enough to study it. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you study failures, you prevent them. If you study success, you scale it. If you learn faster than the world changes, you stay ahead of every crisis and lead every wave of innovation. Introduction 6. Guest Experience Stewardship Executive Leadership Overview. Why guest experience is the heart of executive leadership. At Greenfield WorkFlow, we do not serve transactions. We steward emotional, environmental, and relational experiences. Guest loyalty is built or lost at the invisible edges of service, not at the obvious front desks or dining tables alone. Executive leaders are responsible not just for visible service quality, but for the hidden systems, energy, and standards that make magic possible. At GWF, the guest experience is not a department. It is the ecosystem every executive leader must protect, design, and evolve daily. Section structure, core executive responsibilities. 6.1 Emotional engagement in service design. Service flows, team energy, and guest rituals that create emotional connection, not just operational efficiency. 6.2 From functional to memorable moments. Train teams to move beyond meeting needs toward creating powerful emotional memory points, small, intentional moments of surprise, care, and belonging. 6.3 Responding to feedback with clarity and compassion. Handle guest feedback, positive or negative, as structured growth data, responding with professionalism, precision, and genuine empathy. 6.4 Guest-first standards and service rituals. Build, maintain, and correct visible and invisible guest service standards, ensuring rituals, flows, and recovery systems stay strong under all conditions. Executive leadership practices for guest experience mastery. Daily guest energy scan. Where today is guest emotional connection thriving, and where is it mechanical or missing? Weekly memory moment review. What surprise, joy, care, or excellence moments did guests experience this week, and how can we amplify them? Monthly guest feedback audit. Analyze praise, complaints, suggestions, spot patterns, correct drift, celebrate standards upheld. Quarterly guest journey innovation lab. Test, upgrade, or refine parts of the guest journey for even deeper emotional loyalty. Executive mindset for guest stewardship. Every system must ultimately serve guest trust and joy. Every correction must protect guest emotional security, not just system efficiency. Every innovation must start with guest impact, not operational convenience. Every leadership behavior must mirror the respect, presence, and care we expect teams to offer guests. At GWF, guest experience stewardship is leadership, no exceptions. 6.1 Emotional Engagement in Service Executive Leadership Practice. Why emotional engagement is the true metric of service excellence. At Greenfield WorkFlow, guests remember emotions, not transactions. They remember how you made them feel, not just what you gave them. They return because of emotional connection, not because of operational efficiency alone. Operational speed without emotional connection is forgettable. Emotional connection with operational precision is unforgettable. As executive leaders, you are responsible for building, protecting, and scaling emotional engagement across every guest journey touchpoint. Core executive responsibilities for emotional engagement leadership. 1. Engineer emotional moments, not just tasks. Design guest flows for emotional impact. Map where guests might feel stress, confusion, excitement, gratitude. Intentionally structure systems and team behaviors to amplify positive emotions and soften negative ones. Build moments of personalization. Enable teams to notice guest cues, name recognition, special needs or preferences, emotional signals, anxiety, celebration, fatigue, and respond personally, not robotically. Protect emotional rituals, greeting standards, farewell rituals, welcome drinks, personalized thank you notes. Protect these small, high-emotion service points fiercely. 2. Train teams to feel and transfer positive energy. Recruit and coach for emotional intelligence. Hire and train people who notice, care, and respond, not just those who complete tasks quickly. Teach emotional mirror management. Guests reflect what they feel. Calm leadership creates calm guests. Chaotic leadership creates nervous guests. Celebrate emotional engagement, not just productivity. Recognize when team members create smiles, ease stress, and build guest belonging, not just when they hit speed or checklist targets. 3. Use emotional metrics, not just operational metrics. Track guest emotion feedback, surveys, comments, online reviews. Filter for emotional words, not just service ratings. Warm, safe, celebrated, seen are signs of emotional success. Monitor guest body language. Smiles, relaxed posture, lingering conversations, genuine gratitude, live indicators of emotional engagement happening in real time. Audit emotional energy zones. Scan lobby flow, dining energy, service desk engagement. Correct cold, mechanical, or detached service immediately. Executive leadership practices for emotional engagement. Daily emotional pulse check. Where today did guests experience emotional connection, and where did they experience only functionality? Weekly emotional story collection. Gather guest stories, team emotional wins, surprise recovery moments. Use them to train, inspire, and reinforce culture. Monthly emotional experience review. Audit service flows and systems for opportunities to build deeper emotional engagement. Executive mindset for emotional stewardship service is not what you deliver. It's what the guest feels. Speed is irrelevant if emotional connection is missing. Correct technical service failure immediately, but protect emotional service quality even more fiercely. At GWF, guests must feel seen, valued, safe, and celebrated. Every interaction, every shift, every location. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you serve the task, they will forget. If you serve the heart, they will return. If you serve both perfectly, they will never leave. Protect the guest's heart before you protect the system's speed. 6.2 From Functional to Memorable Moments, Executive Leadership Practice. Why good enough service is not good enough at Greenfield WorkFlow. Functional service is the minimum guests expect. Memorable service is why they return, promote us, and bond emotionally with our project. Functional service meets basic needs: clean table, on-time order, polite greeting. Memorable service creates emotional memory points. Small, meaningful surprises, recognitions, or emotional touches guests talk about long after they leave. At GWF, executive leaders design systems and train teams to create memorable moments intentionally, not occasionally or accidentally. Core executive responsibilities for creating memorable guest moments. 1. Identify moments with emotional leverage. Arrival. First impressions lock emotional expectations. Personal greeting, local touches, emotional warmth matter most here. Transition points. Waiting areas. Table turns, service recoveries, checkouts, often overlooked but full of opportunity for emotional lift. Celebrations and special occasions, birthdays, anniversaries, first visits, small, personal, authentic recognitions create lasting bonds. Recovery moments, when small errors happen, emotionally intelligent recovery, calm, apology, authentic fix, often creates stronger loyalty than mistake-free service. Train teams to own the moment. Empower creativity within standards. Give team members permission to create personal touches. Personalized dessert plate message. Handwritten thank you. Fast recovery with a small complimentary item. Offering help before being asked. Story-driven recognition. Celebrate internal stories of small, memorable moments. Team huddles, shift briefings, newsletters. Teaching through emotional wins, not just service stats. Teach memory mindset. Every guest touchpoint should aim to create a story they will retell. I can't believe they noticed. They made us feel so special. They fixed it so fast and kindly. 3. Build systems that trigger memorable moments. Guest profile systems. Capture notes about preferences, celebrations, service recoveries, so next interactions feel personal and remembered. Service rituals. Embedded into flow. Ritualized greetings, special occasion triggers, farewell signatures, so that memory points are predictable in system design, not random. Feedback loop for memory moments. Track guest mentions of emotional experiences. Amplify winning systems and behaviors accordingly. Executive leadership practices for memorable service building. Daily memory moment target. Challenge teams to create at least one intentional emotional moment for a guest every shift. Weekly memory story review. Collect and share guest stories that highlight emotional engagement and memorable moments. Monthly guest journey audit. Map and upgrade at least one guest journey point to make it more emotional, memorable, and value-driven. Quarterly innovation lab. Launch small experiments designed to enhance guest emotional loyalty through service upgrades. Executive mindset for guest loyalty. Leadership function meets needs. Memories create bonds. Efficiency creates satisfaction. Emotional impact creates loyalty. Systems protect consistency. Leadership protects emotional creativity within structure. At GWF, service must move from efficient to unforgettable, because the future belongs to brands guests remember emotionally, not brands they merely tolerate functionally. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you serve efficiently, they will appreciate. If you serve memorably, they will belong. Design moments that move hearts, not just systems that move products. 6.3 Responding to feedback with clarity and compassion. Executive leadership practice. Why feedback is gold, not threat. At Greenfield WorkFlow, guest feedback is not a threat to leadership. It is a strategic opportunity to strengthen trust, improve systems, and deepen emotional loyalty. Positive feedback reveals what to amplify. Negative feedback reveals what to correct. Indifference reveals what is already being lost. At GWF, executive leaders treat all feedback, even difficult feedback, as operational intelligence and emotional coaching, not as criticism to defend against. Core executive responsibilities for feedback stewardship. 1. Receive feedback professionally. No defensiveness. Listen fully. Think genuinely. Validate the guest's feelings, even if the facts are complex. Separate emotion from facts. Hear emotional signals clearly, and still investigate operational facts calmly and fully. Show visible ownership. We take full responsibility. We are grateful you pointed this out. We will investigate and correct. Leadership shows most clearly when feedback pressure rises. 2. Respond with clarity and compassion. Clarify action, not excuse. Tell guests exactly what will happen next, not why it happened or who is to blame. Use the care feedback recovery model. Connect sincerely. Acknowledge the impact. Resolve visibly, even if investigation is ongoing. Express appreciation for helping improve. Match energy to situation, minor issue, friendly professional recovery. Major failure, calm, structured, executive-level leadership engagement. 3. Turn feedback into system upgrades. Feedback loop closure discipline. Every guest complaint must be logged, be investigated, be actioned, be closed visibly, internally, and if possible to the guest. Root cause correction. Treat the root, not just the symptom of feedback. Feedback, debriefs for teams. Celebrate compliments, analyze and correct complaints with clear, fact-driven, non-defensive coaching. Executive leadership practices for feedback mastery. Daily feedback readout. Review new guest feedback daily. Act early before issues root. Weekly feedback pattern scan. Look for emerging trends. Celebrate strength zones and correct drift zones fast. Monthly feedback systems audit. Check if feedback is flowing fast enough from frontline to leadership. No bottlenecks or lost data allowed. Quarterly leadership feedback calibration. Train direct reports to handle, debrief, and upgrade based on feedback the GWF way. Executive mindset for guest feedback leadership. Guest feedback is a gift, even when wrapped in anger, disappointment, or clumsiness. Leadership means listening fully, responding quickly, improving visibly. Ego is the enemy. Clarity, compassion, and action are the cure. At GWF, how we respond to feedback defines who we are more clearly than any marketing campaign ever could. In simple terms for executive leaders, if they trust you enough to complain, you must honor them enough to listen, act, and thank them. Turn feedback into excellence, and you turn guests into lifelong allies. 6.4 Guest-First Standards and Service Rituals. Executive leadership practice: why guest-first standards and rituals create invisible strength. At Greenfield WorkFlow, guests should not experience service quality by accident. They must experience it consistently through standards and rituals so strong they feel effortless. Service rituals create emotional safety and predictability for guests. Guest-first standards protect consistency without crushing personal warmth. Rituals and standards free teams to be creative inside structure, not at the cost of service quality. At GWF, executive leaders are responsible for maintaining, upgrading, and protecting both service standards and service rituals, daily without fail. Core executive responsibilities for guest-first system protection. 1. Build and maintain non-negotiable guest standards. Guest-first principle. Every operational, service, maintenance, and leadership decision must protect the guest experience first, not back-end convenience or internal comfort. Operational standards must be lived, not posted. Cleanliness, timing, language, grooming, presence, recovery. Standards must be visible in every shift, not hidden in manuals. Enforce standards with precision and dignity. Correct standard drift fast and constructively. No emotional reactions, no public shaming, no silent approval of mediocrity. 2. Engineer and protect service rituals. Rituals are not extras, they are foundations. Greeting every guest within 5 seconds, personalization touch in every guest interaction, farewell rituals with visible gratitude and invitation to return. Rituals create emotional anchors. Predictable service excellence builds trust. Emotional closure moments, warm goodbyes, thank you gifts build loyalty. Protect rituals from decay. Rituals drift over time unless recalibrated. Executive leaders must reinforce and reset with teams monthly. 3. Upgrade guest systems continuously. Audit standards and rituals quarterly. What was strong 6 months ago may now feel stale, mechanical, or invisible. Invite team innovation. Frontline team members often have the best ideas for micro upgrades to rituals and standards. Harness their insights without diluting structure. Guest feedback loop into ritual design. Use emotional words and patterns from feedback to enhance existing rituals or design new ones. Executive leadership practices for guest-first system strength. Daily ritual observation. Did every guest today experience our service rituals or only functional operations? Weekly standard calibration check. Spot check and coach. Are greetings fresh or robotic? Are service transitions smooth or mechanical? Are guest recoveries professional and warm? Monthly ritual reinforcement. Choose one ritual or standard to spotlight, retrain, and celebrate every month. Quarterly guest journey ritual refresh. Upgrade at least one small emotional anchor to stay ahead of guest expectations. Executive mindset for guest standard protection systems protect emotion. Rituals protect loyalty. Standards free teams to shine. They do not constrain creativity. They protect it from chaos. Excellence must be protected daily, not just invented once. At GWF, guests deserve invisible strength behind visible care. And it is executive leaders who ensure they experience it without disruption, without fail, without fatigue. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you want guest trust, enforce standards. If you want guest loyalty, protect rituals. If you want operational immortality, build systems strong enough to carry human warmth through every shift. Introduction 7. Sustainable Growth and Community Leadership. Executive Leadership Overview. Why growth without sustainability is collapse in disguise. At Greenfield WorkFlow, we do not chase expansion. We build sustainable ecosystems. Growth must protect guest experience, team culture, operational standards, and environmental integrity. Community leadership is not external charity. It is internal project health reflected outward into every neighborhood we touch. At GWF, executive leaders grow wisely, ensuring that success strengthens systems, people, and communities simultaneously. Sustainable leadership means every system gets stronger as it grows. Every guest experience deepens as service scales. Every local community feels benefit, not displacement from our presence. Section structure. Core executive responsibilities. 7.1 Embedding sustainability into daily operations. Integrate eco-conscious, guest-conscious, and team-conscious decisions into operational flow, not just marketing strategies. 7.2 Community co-creation and local sourcing. Build real partnerships with local communities and vendors, ensuring GWF becomes an asset, not a disruption. 7.3 Project design. Impact-driven expansion. Design every expansion, renovation, or service extension based on true positive impact first, then operational and financial gain second. 7.4 Leading by example in eco-conscious innovation. Drive sustainability not just through compliance, but through visible executive leadership, constant innovation, and emotional inspiration. Executive leadership practices for sustainable growth. Daily sustainability check. Which operational decision today can protect resources or deepen community ties? Weekly community health scan. Where are we strengthening or weakening community connection this week? Monthly sustainability system audit. Review energy, water, waste, guest education, and local sourcing impact. Quarterly eco-innovation planning. Lead system upgrades that protect the environment while enhancing operational efficiency and guest experience. Executive mindset for growth, stewardship. Grow slower if needed, but grow stronger. Protect communities as carefully as you protect profits. Build systems that heal, not systems that extract. Leadership must mirror the world we want to live in, not just the market we want to dominate. At GWF, growth is judged by the futures we protect, not just the numbers we achieve. 7.1 Embedding sustainability into daily operations, executive leadership practice. Why sustainability must live inside operations, not outside. At Greenfield WorkFlow, sustainability is not a marketing tool. It is a daily operational standard. It must live in how we clean, cook, source, maintain, serve, and lead. It must shape guest experience quietly but powerfully, without preaching or superficial displays. At GWF, executive leaders embed sustainability into systems, habits, and decision-making rhythms until it is invisible because it is normal. Core executive responsibilities for operational sustainability. 1. Design operational systems for sustainability resource conservation, built into SOPs, water saving in kitchens and restrooms, energy optimization in HVAC, lighting, appliances, waste reduction in service flows and maintenance routines. Purchasing and vendor alignment, prioritize local, ethical, sustainable vendors. Minimize single-use products, verify supply chain environmental impact wherever possible. Cleaning and maintenance systems, eco-friendly chemicals, equipment lifecycle extension through preventive maintenance, recycling protocols for technical and guest service areas. 2. Train teams to see sustainability as normal behavior, embedding, not slogans. Small behaviors reinforced daily, turning off unused lights, correct waste sorting, reporting leaks immediately. Guest-facing systems offer options without pressure, linen reuse programs, low-impact stay options, visible but respectful environmental practices. Leadership presence. Executive leaders must model sustainable behaviors visibly every shift. Guests and teams watch and mirror leadership actions, not policies. 3. Measure and celebrate sustainable wins. Track metrics: water saved, energy reduced, waste diverted from landfills, local supplier percentage increased. Gamify small wins. Friendly internal challenges. Which team reduced energy waste the most this month? Which service zone achieved 100% recycling compliance? Share guest stories. Celebrate guest compliments on environmental leadership as cultural victories, not just marketing points. Executive leadership practices for sustainability execution. Daily eco-scan. Which action today visibly protected resources, reduced waste, or improved community impact? Weekly sustainability coaching. Spotlight one sustainable behavior or small system improvement during team huddles. Monthly sustainability audit. Spot check compliance across cleaning, maintenance, kitchen, guest areas, correct silently drifting habits early. Quarterly innovation labs launch micro projects targeting one area of operational sustainability upgrade. Executive mindset for sustainable operational leadership. Sustainability is not extra, it is operational excellence fully expressed. Small actions multiplied across systems change guest expectations and protect the planet. Every executive decision must weigh operational need against environmental impact, without waiting for outside pressure. At GWF, sustainable leadership is daily, quiet, powerful, and normal, because we lead the future, not follow trends. In simple terms for executive leaders, if it protects resources, reinforce it. If it reduces waste, standardize it. If it saves energy, celebrate it. If it builds a better future quietly, you are doing it right. 7.2 Community Co-Creation and Local Sourcing Executive Leadership Practice. Why community leadership is not optional at Greenfield WorkFlow. We are not visitors to the communities we operate in. We are co-creators of their future. Our presence must uplift, not extract. Our sourcing must circulate value locally, not export it elsewhere. Our guest experience must reflect genuine local character, not manufactured branding. At GWF, executive leaders protect and deepen community relationships daily, building real economic, cultural, and environmental sustainability. Core executive responsibilities for community integration. 1. Build true local partnerships. Local vendors, first. Food, supplies, services. Wherever possible, prioritize local producers and partners who meet quality and sustainability standards. Ongoing community dialogue, regular outreach to community leaders, artisans, farmers, and organizations, not just during crises or launches. Respect local wisdom, adapt systems, sourcing, and service approaches based on local cultural insights, not corporate templates. 2. Design guest experiences around local identity. Authentic local flavors and stories, menus, decor, guest rituals, service training should weave in real local culture, not stereotypes or superficial design. Promote local talent, artisans, musicians, storytellers, environmental leaders. Integrate their work into the guest journey. Educate guests respectfully. Gentle, authentic guest communications about local traditions, sustainability efforts, and community stories. 3. Measure and protect local impact. Track local economic circulation, percentage of spend that stays within the community, vendors, employment, partnerships. Assess community sentiment, regular surveys, interviews, and informal feedback from local partners and residents. Minimize community disruption. Design traffic flow, waste management, staffing models to protect local quality of life, not overwhelm it. Executive leadership practices for community stewardship. Daily local impact check. What decision today can strengthen our positive footprint in the community? Weekly local sourcing review. Identify one additional local sourcing opportunity or one supplier relationship to deepen. Monthly community touchpoint. Attend or host a local event, market visit, or collaborative session. Deepen authentic community presence. Quarterly local impact report. Review and report on local sourcing percentages, community feedback, and sustainability initiatives. Executive mindset for true community leadership. Growth without community is short-term and hollow. Brand strength is rooted in community respect, not just guest satisfaction. Operational excellence includes external ecosystem health, not just internal system metrics. At GWF, executive leaders are judged not only by profits, but by the legacy we leave in the places that host us. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you source local, you build trust. If you serve local, you build pride. If you protect local, you build legacy. Community leadership is not extra, it is leadership. 7.3 Project Design, Impact-Driven Expansion Executive Leadership Practice. Why expansion must strengthen, not weaken, the ecosystem. At Greenfield WorkFlow, growth is judged by its impact, not just by its scale or speed. Every new location, renovation, service extension, or partnership must strengthen systems, protect culture, and serve communities. Expansion that weakens guest experience, team quality, environmental standards, or community trust is not success. It is silent collapse. At GWF, executive leaders design every project decision through the lens of sustainable, values-driven, system-protecting growth. Core executive responsibilities for impact-first growth. 1. Apply the GWF Impact Design Framework. Before greenlighting any project expansion, guest first. Will this action protect or deepen emotional guest loyalty? Team health. Will this create leadership opportunities and cultural strength or overstrain team energy and standards? Operational system integrity. Will current SOPs, maintenance systems, service rituals survive at the new scale without dilution? Environmental stewardship. Will this protect natural resources, waste streams, energy efficiency? Community alignment. Will this strengthen local partnerships, economic circulation, and cultural connection? All answers must be yes, or the project must be redesigned before proceeding. 2. Design expansion models to protect quality scalability testing. Pilot small models before scaling. Stress test systems under realistic guest loads and operational conditions. System locking. Document and standardize critical cultural and operational systems before expansion, preventing version drift between locations. Leadership bench growth. Build and certify next-generation leaders before opening new operations, not after. 3. Build impact review cycles into project development. Pre-launch impact audit. Evaluate guest experience flows, team readiness, environmental impact, and community sentiment before opening. Post-launch reality check. 30 to 60 to 90-day reviews focused on system performance, guest emotional engagement, and community feedback. Impact recovery systems. Build contingency plans for guest trust repair, community issue response, operational retooling, fast, humble, precise. Executive leadership practices for sustainable expansion. Daily impact reflection. Is every growth decision today aligned with GWF's sustainable leadership DNA? Weekly system scalability scan. Review which current systems would break under 2x or 3x volume, correct proactively. Monthly expansion risk radar. Identify early signs of standard drift, guest experience inconsistency, team energy drop during growth phases. Quarterly ecosystem impact report. Report on community engagement, guest loyalty, operational stability, and environmental stewardship per expansion move. Executive mindset for impact-driven growth. Growth must deepen trust, not dilute it. Expansion must build legacy, not stretch systems to breaking. Leadership must protect scale from becoming erosion. At GWF, executive leaders are not judged by how fast they grow. They are judged by how strong they grow. In simple terms for executive leaders, if it strengthens the guest, the team, the community, and the planet, grow it. If it weakens any one of them, fix it before growing. Expansion without system strength is sabotage in disguise. 7.4. Leading by example in eco-conscious innovation, executive leadership practice. Why innovation without example fails at Greenfield WorkFlow. We cannot ask teams or guests to care about sustainability if leadership does not visibly live it first. Innovation and sustainability must be operational, not just conceptual. Eco-conscious leadership must be a visible daily behavior, not a seasonal campaign. Guests and teams mirror what executive leaders model, not what they merely instruct. At GWF, executive leaders make environmental stewardship normal, expected, and proudly visible, without preaching, without compromise. Core executive responsibilities for eco-conscious leadership. 1. Live eco-leadership daily without excuse. Model resource stewardship. Personally follow waste sorting protocols, energy conservation behaviors, water protection practices. No exceptions, no shortcuts. Walk the guest pathways. Ensure public guest zones reflect visible sustainability commitments. Recycling stations clean and elegant. Eco-friendly products featured proudly but tastefully. Own eco-recovery fast. If systems fail, waste overflow, unnecessary plastic usage, poor vendor compliance, lead fast, visible recovery efforts personally. 2. Drive operational eco-innovation systematically. Challenge system assumptions. Why are we using this material, this flow, this product? Is there a better, cleaner, more sustainable option? Launch micro-innovations regularly. Trial new practices or products, composting systems, local organic vendor pilots, guest education touchpoints, electric maintenance equipment. Create cross-department innovation labs. Sustainability is not a department. It must integrate into kitchens, maintenance, service, admin, and guest-facing operations. 3. Build eco-conscious pride without arrogance. Celebrate team wins. Track and celebrate operational eco-metrics. Waste reduced, water saved, energy optimized monthly. Involve guests in the journey. Give guests options to participate, opt-in programs, visible stats on impact saved through their choices. Stay humble and hungry. Sustainability is never achieved. It is constantly improved, expanded, and rethought with new realities. Executive Leadership Practices for Eco-Conscious Innovation. Daily Eco-Integrity Check. Where today can I personally reduce environmental impact visibly? Weekly System Eco Review. Audit one system weekly for eco weaknesses. Plan immediate upgrades or pilot experiments. Monthly Team Eco Lab. Invite cross-team suggestions on small, sustainable operational changes. Trial the best, celebrate the results. Quarterly Guest Eco Engagement Survey. Listen to guest perceptions and ideas for making GWF even more sustainably innovative. Executive Mindset for Sustainable Innovation Leadership. If sustainability is invisible, it does not inspire. If eco-leadership is only words, it fails under pressure. If innovation is only for marketing, it collapses internally. At GWF, executive leaders build real environmental leadership, measured by daily habits, operational upgrades, and guest trust earned, not claimed. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you live it, they will mirror it. If you innovate it, they will trust it. If you protect it, they will remember it. Lead by visible eco-action, not by slogans. Intro 8. Communication Excellence Executive Leadership Overview. Why communication defines operational strength and leadership credibility. At Greenfield WorkFlow, communication is not noise management. It is leadership execution in action. Poor communication destroys guest trust, team energy, and operational flow. Clear, structured, respectful communication protects standards, resolves conflict, and builds loyalty. At GWF, executive leaders master communication as a leadership system, not as a soft skill to improvise under stress. Communication excellence at GWF means speaking factually, not emotionally, listening actively, not reactively, leading meetings with precision, not rambling, structuring updates, corrections, and innovations visibly and respectfully. Section structure. Core executive responsibilities. 8.1 Fact versus emotion-driven reaction. Lead with facts, structure, and guest-first standards, not emotional leakage, frustration, or defensive communication. 8.2 Listening and language and team settings. Build culture by how you listen and how you speak, shaping guest experience, team trust, and operational speed through disciplined communication habits. 8.3 Leading meetings and briefings with impact. Design and lead meetings, briefings, and huddles as tools for operational clarity, team energy alignment, and leadership visibility, not time wasters or emotional dumping grounds. 8.4 Tools for communication clarity. Odoo, boards, huddles. Master communication platforms and systems, using tools like Odoo, operational boards, and live huddles to keep information flow disciplined, visible, and actionable. Executive leadership practices for communication mastery. Daily communication precision check. Did every interaction I had today move operations, guest trust, or team energy forward? Weekly listening discipline audit. How often did I listen fully before responding? Where did my language elevate or weaken team culture? Monthly communication systems review. Are critical updates flowing through structured channels fast enough and clearly enough? Quarterly communication innovation labs. Upgrade, simplify, and strengthen operational communication systems every quarter. No drift allowed. Executive mindset for communication leadership. Listen longer than you speak. Speak facts faster than you speak emotions. Structure meetings to serve action, not drama. Communicate with respect even under pressure, especially under pressure. At GWF, your leadership credibility lives and dies by the clarity, structure, and respectfulness of your communication. Section 8, Communication Excellence Overview, is now fully complete, ready for executive leaders serious about making every word, every meeting, every message strengthen operations and culture. Would you like me to continue immediately with Section 8.1, Fact-Based Dialogue versus Emotion-Driven Reaction, showing how executive leaders build operational trust and team confidence through structured dialogue? Ready to proceed? 8.1 Fact-Based Dialogue versus Emotion-Driven Reaction Executive Leadership Practice. Why facts, not feelings, must drive leadership communication. At Greenfield WorkFlow, emotionally reactive communication weakens leadership instantly. Fact-based dialogue strengthens systems, teams, and guest trust every time. Facts create clarity. Emotional reactions create confusion and fear. Structured communication builds operational speed and cultural strength, even during pressure moments. At GWF, executive leaders master fact-based dialogue as a daily discipline, not a nice-to-have during calm times. Core executive responsibilities for fact-based communication. 1. Speak from reality, not reaction. Separate emotion from information. Before responding to any challenge, complaint, or stress, identify the verifiable facts. Identify your emotional charge and leave it out. Speak in structured sentences. Example, the guest waited 7 minutes without acknowledgement. Our standard is 2 minutes. We will correct the greeting system starting today. No blaming, no vague frustration. Stay operational, not personal. Address behaviors, systems, and outcomes, not personalities, moods, or rumors. 2. Listen completely before responding. Give full attention. Stop moving. Make eye contact. Listen through, not over, the person speaking. Summarize to confirm, understanding. What I'm hearing is X. Is that accurate? Pause before answering. Especially during emotionally charged situations, insert a 2 to 5 second breath pause before speaking. 3. Lead emotional management by example. Stay neutral in language. Replace, "This is ridiculous," with, "Let's break this down clearly." "You're wrong," with, "Let's revisit the standard together." Anchor responses in standards and values. Always bring discussions back to GWF operational standards, guest-first expectations, and leadership values, not personal preferences or emotional opinions. De-escalate first, solve second. Lower emotional energy before introducing corrective action or upgrades. Executive leadership practices for communication mastery. Daily dialogue discipline check. Did I respond today based on facts, values, and standards, or did I let emotions hijack clarity? Weekly communication reflection. Identify one moment where emotional restraint or fact-based clarification improved operational or team flow. Monthly language audit. Review feedback, meetings, huddles. Are you modeling concise, factual, respectful communication? Quarterly conflict resolution training. Refresh executive team conflict handling skills using structured, fact-based models like DESC, describe, express, specify, consequence. Executive mindset for communication discipline. Emotions are signals, not scripts. Feel emotions, but speak from facts and values. Respond slow and structured, never fast and reactive. At GWF, executive credibility is built or broken in the first 3 sentences under pressure. Train those sentences daily. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you feel it, pause. If you know it, structure it. If you doubt it, clarify it. If you speak it, let it strengthen, not shake, the system. 8.2 Listening and language in team settings. Executive leadership practice. Why listening and language are operational tools, not just courtesies. At Greenfield WorkFlow, the speed, clarity, and strength of team execution are built first through leadership listening and language discipline. Poor listening creates assumptions, delays, and distrust. Poor language triggers confusion, resentment, or operational drift. Structured listening and precise language create high-speed, high-trust execution. At GWF, executive leaders model elite listening and speaking habits, making strong communication the daily norm, not a special event. Core executive responsibilities for communication inside teams. 1. Master active listening. Give full presence. When team members speak, stop multitasking. Focus eyes, body, and mind fully on them. Listen for core signals, operational needs, resources, information gaps, emotional signals, frustration, uncertainty, disengagement. Confirm understanding. Use language like, "So you are saying, let me make sure I understand correctly." Correct misunderstandings early before decisions are made. 2. Use precise, respectful language. State facts clearly. What is the situation? What is the required action? What is the standard we are protecting? Frame feedback constructively. This standard was missed. Here's how we correct it. Not, "You failed again," or "I'm disappointed." Avoid language pollution. No sarcasm, gossip, emotional drama, or passive-aggressive phrases allowed inside leadership communication. 3. Build team language habits. Systematically standard phrasing for key moments. Guest greeting phrases, team briefing phrases, service recovery phrases. Make excellence repeatable without sounding robotic. Teach language calibration. Adjust language based on audience, guest versus team versus vendor. Situation, calm versus recovery, urgent. Correct language drift. Coach immediately when informal, sloppy, or emotionally loaded language creeps into team culture. Executive leadership practices for communication excellence. Daily listening self-check. Did I listen fully, at least 3 times today, without interrupting or pre-planning my reply? Weekly language audit. Where did my words elevate team clarity and energy, and where did my words confuse or stress the system? Monthly communication skills practice. Lead short drills on listening and structured language for all leadership and supervisor teams. Quarterly culture language calibration. Refresh service language standards visibly across the project. Executive mindset for team communication mastery. Listening is leadership. It is not passive. Language builds operational rhythm, or it breaks it. How you listen under pressure defines how much trust you can command later. At GWF, leadership starts not when you talk, but when you listen with structure and speak with clarity. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you listen poorly, you lead poorly. If you speak without clarity, you lead without trust. Strong teams are built sentence by sentence, listening by listening, day by day. 8.3 Leading meetings and briefings with impact executive leadership practice. Why meetings must build energy and action, not drain them. At Greenfield WorkFlow, meetings and briefings are operational tools, not emotional dumping grounds, status shows, or time fillers. A strong meeting clarifies action, accelerates execution, and strengthens team alignment. A weak meeting drains energy, increases confusion, and erodes leadership credibility. At GWF, executive leaders design, structure, and lead meetings with tactical precision, ensuring every meeting moves systems, standards, and teams forward. Core executive responsibilities for meeting excellence. 1. Design meetings for outcomes, not updates. Start with purpose. This meeting exists to decide, solve, align, or launch, not to list information. Structure every agenda around action items. Clear decisions needed, problems to solve, assignments to confirm, deadlines to set. Set time limits relentlessly. Start and end on time, even if not everyone arrives or if side discussions arise. 2. Lead meetings with precision and respect. Use tight facilitation. Redirect rambling. Park non-agenda issues for later resolution. Parking lot technique. Maintain fact-based tone. Keep dialogue operational, not emotional, political, or personal. Conclude with clear actions. Who is doing what? By when? How will success be measured? Close strongly. Thank sincerely. Reinforce key values or guest-first reminders briefly. 3. Elevate briefings into leadership tools. Huddle standards. Fast, structured pre-shift or mid-shift gatherings. Update facts, guest flow, reservations, maintenance issues. Set energy tone. Positive, focused, guest-first attitude. Shift-end debriefs. Very short, fact-based. What went well? What needs immediate correction? What should be celebrated? Leadership visibility. Executive leaders must attend and sometimes personally lead key huddles and briefings, modeling precision and respect. Executive leadership practices for meeting excellence. Daily huddle discipline. Attend or lead at least one huddle daily. Set operational and emotional tone early. Weekly agenda. Integrity check. Ensure every standing meeting has a purpose and a clear agenda. Cancel meetings that don't. Monthly meeting format review. Refresh meeting structures quarterly to stay sharp, efficient, and energizing. Quarterly meeting skills calibration. Train leadership teams in meeting discipline, structured speaking, and energy leadership. Executive mindset for meeting leadership. Time is respect. Precision is leadership. Structure protects trust and accelerates operational flow. At GWF, the quality of your meetings predicts the quality of your systems and the strength of your teams. Respect every minute. Lead every dialogue. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you respect their time, they will respect your leadership. If you structure every meeting for action, you lead teams that move faster and break less. Meetings are not conversations. They are execution accelerators. 8.4 Tools for communication clarity. Odoo, boards, huddles. Executive leadership practice. Why systematic communication tools protect execution. At Greenfield WorkFlow, talking is not communication. Documented, visible, structured communication is operational security. Clear communication tools protect action under pressure. Consistent information flow strengthens guest experience, operational precision, and team trust. Poorly used communication platforms cause silent chaos. At GWF, executive leaders master the communication tools, Odoo, operational boards, shift huddles, and use them daily to build strength, not noise. Core executive responsibilities for communication tool mastery. 1. Use Odoo correctly and consistently. Task assignment. Every operational task that requires tracking must be logged in Odoo, not mentioned casually. Project and issue tracking. Service breakdowns, guest complaints, maintenance needs, and leadership initiatives must flow through structured Odoo projects. Timely updates. Tasks must be updated visibly, complete, in progress, delayed, no hidden status allowed. Clear documentation. Comments must be fact-based, solution-focused, and professional, not emotional, sarcastic, or vague. 2. Manage operational boards with precision visual management. Use boards for real-time shift tasks, guest alerts, maintenance updates, event flows, color-coded, timed, prioritized. Ownership visibility. Tasks assigned must have clear owners visible, no floating responsibilities. Daily reset discipline. Boards must be reset daily, no carryover clutter that confuses shifts. 3. Lead and protect huddle communication. Morning and mid-shift huddles. Set guest flow alerts, system reminders, motivational energy. Focus on clarity, not emotion. Debrief huddles. Capture what worked, what broke, what to correct next shift. Fast, factually, with ownership assigned. Leadership presence. Executive leaders should rotate through major huddles weekly, ensuring huddles stay sharp and aligned to GWF standards. Executive leadership practices for communication tool strength. Daily ODU discipline. Was every task or correction today documented, assigned, and updated properly? Daily board visibility check. Is the operational board today clean, prioritized, and fully updated? Weekly huddle performance scan. Spot check if huddles are driving clarity and motivation, or drifting into emotional or unfocused chatter. Monthly communication systems audit. Review ODU, board usage, huddle standards. Correct drift and retrain leadership teams if necessary. Executive mindset for communication systems leadership. Communication tools are not optional. They are operational safety systems. Discipline and documentation protects teams under pressure. Visibility builds trust faster than reminders. Precision reduces friction, errors, and conflict. At GWF, executive leaders are judged by how cleanly, quickly, and visibly they communicate, especially under operational load. In simple terms for executive leaders, if it matters, document it. If it shifts, update it. If it breaks, log it. If it wins, share it. Communication tools protect execution. Lead them or lose control. Introduction to 9. Talent and team culture executive leadership overview. Why talent and culture are the true engines of operational excellence. At Greenfield WorkFlow, systems alone cannot protect the guest experience. Only strong talent operating inside a strong culture can. Talent selection, development, and retention are leadership disciplines, not random luck or HR processes. Culture is not what is said in handbooks. It is what is lived, tolerated, corrected, and celebrated daily. At GWF, executive leaders are directly responsible for curating talent, protecting team culture, and scaling guest-first service excellence through leadership behavior, not just policy. Section structure. Core executive responsibilities. 9.1 Recruitment as culture curation. Treat every recruitment decision as a culture decision, selecting not just skills, but alignment with GWF values and guest-first DNA. 9.2 Identifying predispositions versus skill sets. Recruit and promote based on emotional predispositions, service orientation, energy transfer, discipline, then train technical skills systematically. 9.3 Fun, fair, firm. The GWF way. Build team energy by maintaining a leadership style that is fun in spirit, fair in standards, firm in discipline, without emotional chaos or favoritism. 9.4 Diversity, inclusion, and free expression. Protect real diversity of thought, background, and communication styles, ensuring the GWF culture is strong enough to hold individuality without losing operational unity. Executive leadership practices for talent and culture strength. Daily talent development check. Did I coach, recognize, or grow someone's leadership or serviceability today? Weekly culture calibration review. Are guest-first, excellence-driven behaviors being celebrated and reinforced, or are small cultural drifts being tolerated? Monthly talent pipeline assessment. Review upcoming leadership candidates, internal growth needs, and external recruitment targets. Quarterly culture resilience testing. Run real-world culture audits, shift stress tests, surprise guest feedback simulations to spot hidden weaknesses early. Executive mindset for talent and culture leadership. Hire for heart, train for skill. Culture is protected by daily behaviors, not slogans. Teams mirror leadership energy, good or bad, consciously or unconsciously. At GWF, executive leaders know if you lose the culture, you lose the guest, you lose the team, you lose the future. 9.1 Recruitment as culture curation executive leadership practice. Why recruitment is the front line of cultural protection. At Greenfield WorkFlow, Every hire is either an investment in cultural strength or a silent risk to operational integrity. Skills can be trained. Core mindset, guest-first spirit, discipline, energy, resilience must be selected at the door. At GWF, executive leaders are not just hiring people to do jobs, they are curating the next generation of guest protectors, system guardians, and culture carriers. Core executive responsibilities for guest-first recruitment. 1. Recruit for values, train for skills. Identify core predispositions. Guest empathy, resilience under pressure, personal discipline, calm energy transmission, team adaptability. Use values-driven interviewing, scenario questions revealing emotional resilience, guest orientation, accountability reflexes. Deprioritize resume bias. Previous jobs are not proof of guest-first DNA. Observed behavior and emotional maturity during interviews are stronger indicators. 2. Structure hiring to protect operational culture. Cultural interview step required. No one joins GWF without passing cultural fit interviews. Leadership teams must confirm values alignment before technical skill confirmation. Guest first test moments, simulated guest interactions or day-in-the-life practicals, watching body language, energy projection, communication style live. Zero compromise on red flags. Disrespect, sarcasm, excuse-making, lack of accountability during recruitment equals immediate disqualification, no matter how strong the technical skill. 3. Build talent pipelines. Strategically. Always be recruiting. Build community relationships, educational partnerships, and internal referral systems to maintain a steady flow of guest-first talent. Leadership development bench. Spot potential leaders early and begin cultural leadership mentoring from entry level. Recruit for tomorrow, not just today. Look for service and leadership potential beyond immediate operational need. Executive leadership practices for recruitment excellence. Daily talent awareness. Did I notice today anyone, guest, vendor, partner, junior team member, who lives guest-first values naturally? Weekly recruitment quality scan. Are new hires and applicants raising operational and cultural energy or draining it? Monthly candidate pool review. Are we building a diverse, resilient, guest-centered future leadership bench? Quarterly recruitment system calibration. Audit interview processes, cultural filtering questions, onboarding flow for GWF standards alignment. Executive mindset for talent curation. 1 weak hire can undo months of guest trust and team culture work. 1 strong hire can accelerate operational excellence faster than any new SOP. Recruitment is not an admin task. It is leadership work of the highest importance. At GWF, the future is built or broken every time we decide who earns the right to carry our service standards forward. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you hire for skill alone, you weaken culture. If you hire for culture first, you multiply excellence. Select with discipline. Train with precision. Lead with legacy in mind. 9.2. Identifying predispositions versus skill sets. Executive leadership practice. Why hiring for predispositions protects guest experience and culture. At Greenfield WorkFlow, technical skills can be taught quickly, but core emotional predispositions either exist or do not. A brilliant resume without guest empathy destroys guest loyalty. A technically skilled worker without resilience cracks under service pressure. A fast operator without discipline weakens systems invisibly. At GWF, executive leaders are trained to spot emotional and behavioral predispositions before hiring or promoting because culture is built from human foundations, not technical checklists. Core executive responsibilities for talent selection. 1. Know the predispositions that matter most. For GWF operational and leadership success, critical predispositions include guest-first reflex, natural instinct to prioritize guest needs without being told. Energy transfer, ability to energize others calmly, not drain them emotionally. Resilience under pressure, steady, focused action during operational stress, not emotional leakage or collapse. Discipline and standards, respect, personal pride and consistency, cleanliness, precision, not good enough mentalities. Team collaboration, reflex, helping behaviors without drama, blame, or territorialism. 2. Detect predispositions during recruitment. Behavioral interviewing, scenario questions revealing natural guest orientation, emotional self-control, teamwork instincts. Practical observations, trial shifts, practical tests, or live interaction observations look for service reflexes, not just verbal claims. Language and body language scanning. Watch for service language versus self-centered language. Observe calmness, openness, eye contact, presence. 3. Prioritize predisposition over technical fluency. Train skill, hire heart. It is faster and safer to teach POS systems, maintenance checks, or food prep techniques than to install empathy, resilience, or discipline into an unwilling mind. Leadership pipeline starts at predisposition. Future supervisors and managers must already show predisposition for guest-first thinking, operational calmness, and energy protection before leadership training even begins. Executive leadership practices for talent selection, precision daily predisposition check. Which team members today naturally live GWF values without prompting? Weekly recruitment screening discipline. Reject candidates lacking key predispositions, no matter how impressive their technical claims. Monthly talent development reflection. Are we promoting individuals with service predispositions or just those with technical speed? Quarterly talent predisposition workshops. Train leadership teams on spotting emotional and behavioral strengths during interviews and promotions. Executive mindset for building talent, sustainability skills fill tasks. Predispositions build systems, service, and culture. Every hire either strengthens or silently sabotages GWF's guest-first mission. At GWF, true leadership starts by seeing not just what people can do, but who they naturally are. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you select for heart, you can train excellence. If you select for speed alone, you will inherit hidden weaknesses. Predisposition first, skill second, culture always. 9.3 Fun, Fair, Firm, the GWF Way Executive Leadership Practice. Why energy, fairness, and discipline must coexist. At Greenfield WorkFlow, team culture is fragile if it leans too far in any direction. Too much fun without discipline leads to operational chaos. Too much firmness without joy leads to disengagement and resentment. Fairness without visible structure leads to confusion and favoritism. At GWF, executive leaders must master the fun, fair, firm balance daily, creating a culture that is energizing, just, and performance-protecting at once. Core executive responsibilities for culture. Balancing 1. Build fun into operational energy. Positive energy in leadership behavior. Smiles, acknowledgement, authentic lightness during briefings and recoveries, even under pressure. Celebration systems, micro-celebrations of wins, guest praise, system improvements, peer support moments must be visible. Create rituals of joy. Friendly team contests, small guest-driven celebrations, seasonal rituals, keeping energy refreshed without losing operational precision. Rib 2. Build fairness into every action. Transparent standards. Everyone knows exactly what is expected. No hidden rules, no leadership favorites. Correction systems applied equally. Correct standard violations factually and respectfully, regardless of personality or position. Promotion and recognition systems. Based on behavior. Celebrate and promote based on lived guest-first behaviors and operational excellence, not tenure or personal popularity. 3. Build firmness into cultural protection. Daily standard reinforcement. Precision in service, maintenance, guest recovery, system execution must be non-negotiable. Early drift correction. Correct emotional drift, operational sloppiness, or cultural cracks early and privately, not weeks later during crises. Protect operational systems with confidence. SOPs, sustainability practices, guest-first rituals, protected visibly by leadership presence and corrective action. Executive leadership practices for energy and discipline. Daily fun, fair, firm reflection. Where today did I uplift energy, protect fairness, and enforce discipline? Weekly culture energy check. Are teams smiling because they are empowered or drifting into chaos because discipline is missing? Monthly recognition and calibration. Celebrate service wins while recalibrating operational standards visibly and constructively. Quarterly team culture audit. Guest feedback, turnover rates, operational KPIs, early indicators of cultural drift or strength. Executive mindset for balanced team culture. Kindness without standards creates collapse. Discipline without joy creates resentment. Structure without fairness creates distrust. At GWF, executive leaders build cultures that are joyful but serious, energetic but disciplined, flexible but principled. Every shift, every season, every project. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you energize without protecting, you weaken. If you protect without energizing, you suffocate. If you lead with fun, fairness, and firmness combined, you build unstoppable culture. 9.4 Diversity, inclusion, and free expression. Executive Leadership Practice. Why diversity and free expression strengthen operational systems. At Greenfield WorkFlow, diversity is not just background. It is diversity of thought, experience, perspective, and solution-building energy. Teams perform stronger when different worldviews, work styles, and communication preferences are respected. Inclusion is not passive acceptance. It is the active structuring of environments where different voices are heard, valued, and aligned towards shared excellence. At GWF, executive leaders protect operational standards while ensuring that every team member can express ideas, concerns, and innovations safely and clearly. Core executive responsibilities for diversity and inclusion. Leadership 1. Build diverse talent pools. Intentionally recruit beyond comfort zones. Ensure candidate pools include multiple backgrounds, age groups, cultural experiences, and thinking styles. Protect against bias. Challenge unconscious bias during recruitment, promotions, and project assignments. Focus on lived guest-first behaviors and leadership potential. Reflect the guest base. Build teams that can relate to, understand, and celebrate the diversity of GWF's guest community. 2. Build systems of inclusion and free expression. Structured listening systems, anonymous feedback loops, regular open forum huddles, clear channels for suggesting operational and service improvements. Celebrate contribution, not conformity. Recognize team members who challenge systems constructively, improve operations, and lift guest experiences, even if their style is different from leadership defaults. Create psychological safety. Ensure every team member knows they can report concerns, suggest ideas, and contribute without fear of dismissal or retaliation. 3. Lead with standards, flexibility, and emotional intelligence. Protect core standards relentlessly. Guest-first service, operational discipline, and cultural behaviors are non-negotiable. Allow style flexibility. Different communication rhythms, service flavors, and creative solution styles are celebrated, as long as standards are met or exceeded. Coach towards strength, not uniformity. Develop team members by amplifying their natural strengths, not by forcing all individuals into one leadership or service mold. Executive leadership practices for inclusion excellence. Daily inclusion mindset check. Whose voice did I lift today that normally stays quiet? Weekly talent diversity review. Are leadership opportunities being surfaced equally across demographics, styles, and experience levels? Monthly feedback system audit. Ensure safe, structured, and actionable feedback channels exist and are respected. Quarterly culture resilience testing. Test team energy, trust, and collaboration under pressure. Early detection of exclusion or bias risks. Executive mindset for inclusive operational leadership. Uniformity is operationally fatal in a fast-changing guest environment. Inclusion without standards is chaos. Standards without inclusion are fragility disguised as strength. At GWF, executive leaders build operational ecosystems where strength comes from diversity, trust comes from discipline, and innovation comes from free, respectful expression. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you silence difference, you weaken the system. If you tolerate chaos, you weaken culture. If you celebrate true contribution inside strong standards, you build teams that outperform, outlast, and out-inspire competition. Introduction to 10. Feedback, innovation, and continuous improvement. Executive leadership overview. Why continuous improvement must be a living system. At Greenfield WorkFlow, feedback is not criticism. It is fuel for excellence. Innovation is not disruption. It is system evolution. Improvement is not occasional. It is daily leadership behavior. Feedback reveals where standards drift, systems strain, or opportunities emerge. Innovation protects relevance and strengthens guest loyalty. Continuous improvement builds a culture that adapts faster than external pressures. At GWF, executive leaders make feedback flow constant, innovation intentional, and improvement structured, protecting growth without chaos. Section structure. Core executive responsibilities. 10.1. Feedback culture and growth loops. Build daily, weekly, and monthly feedback systems that correct, reinforce, and upgrade operational excellence without fear, delay, or defensiveness. 10.2 Innovation Labs and Idea Harvesting. Create structured spaces where team members safely suggest, test, and refine innovations, blending creativity with operational discipline. 10.3 The Kaizen Model at GWF. Apply Kaizen, continuous small improvements, thinking to daily operations, embedding improvement into every shift, project, and guest interaction. 10.4 Metrics for progress, not perfection. Measure growth through practical, visible progress markers, not chasing impossible perfection, but building unstoppable improvement momentum. Executive leadership practices for systematic growth. Daily improvement mindset check. What did I improve today? Personally, operationally, culturally. Weekly feedback loop maintenance. Are feedback channels open, fast, respectful, and actioned without delay? Monthly innovation harvesting. What small operational experiments or service upgrades can be tested safely and scaled wisely? Quarterly growth system calibration. Are Kaizen practices visible across shifts, or has we've always done it this way thinking begun drifting back? Executive mindset for continuous improvement. Leadership feedback is a leadership gift, not an attack. Innovation is operational discipline applied to future needs, not emotional creativity without structure. Improvement is daily leadership work, not seasonal or crisis-driven. At GWF, executive leaders lead operational excellence by improving 1% daily, with discipline, humility, courage, and joy. 10.1 Feedback Culture and Growth Loops Executive Leadership Practice. Why feedback systems are essential to operational survival. At Greenfield WorkFlow, feedback is not random commentary. It is a structured, disciplined leadership tool that powers continuous improvement. Without fast, structured feedback, operational cracks widen silently. Without feedback loops, teams drift from standards and innovation dies. Without leadership modeling, feedback becomes defensive, personal, or avoided altogether. At GWF, executive leaders do not receive feedback passively. They build feedback ecosystems actively, driving correction, recognition, and growth daily. Core executive responsibilities for feedback culture leadership. 1. Build daily, weekly, monthly feedback loops. Daily microfeedback. Praise standard execution or correct small operational drifts within minutes, not at shift end or weekend. Weekly growth feedback sessions. Tactical one-on-one sessions to correct gaps, amplify strengths, reinforce service rituals, and spot early warning signs. Monthly strategic feedback reviews. Formal evaluations combining guest feedback, operational data, and team behavior trends with clear action plans, not generic comments. 2. Make feedback safe, fast, and normal. No emotional loading. Feedback is operational, not emotional approval or rejection. No delayed corrections. Address errors or drifts early while they are small. Protect dignity, but protect standards faster. Two-way feedback culture. Leaders must request and welcome feedback about leadership behavior, system flaws, and process bottlenecks. Anonymous feedback channels. Maintain at least one anonymous feedback route to catch issues teams may fear to raise openly. 3. Train feedback skills at all leadership levels. Model constructive language. Focus on facts, impacts, and corrective actions. No personal attacks, sarcasm, or blame shifting. Teach the feedback sequence. Observe, clarify, confirm, coach, reinforce. Embed feedback into leadership metrics. Leader evaluations must include feedback handling, feedback flow, and visible system improvements resulting from feedback. Executive leadership practices for feedback system mastery. Daily microfeedback discipline. Did I praise one operational excellence behavior and correct one drift today, factually, respectfully? Weekly feedback pattern scan. What feedback trends are emerging? What cultural or operational risks do they reveal early? Monthly feedback response audit. Are feedback action plans visible, tracked, and updated? Are teams seeing change based on their input? Quarterly leadership feedback training. Run coaching sessions improving emotional control, listening discipline, and structured feedback delivery. Executive mindset for feedback and growth. Feedback protects the guest experience. Feedback protects operational systems. Feedback protects team health and energy. Feedback protects leadership credibility. At GWF, the faster, cleaner, and more respectfully you give and receive feedback, the faster you grow leaders, protect systems, and scale operational excellence. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you delay feedback, you delay growth. If you pollute feedback with emotion, you break trust. If you structure feedback as opportunity, you build teams that upgrade themselves daily. 10.2 Innovation Labs, an idea harvesting executive leadership practice. Why structured innovation protects growth and culture. At Greenfield WorkFlow, innovation is not random creativity. It is operational evolution through disciplined, structured idea harvesting. Innovation protects guest experience relevance over time. Innovation upgrades operational systems before external pressure forces change. Innovation energizes teams by giving them ownership of improvements. At GWF, executive leaders turn creativity into structured, scalable improvements, not chaos, fads, or ego-driven changes. Core executive responsibilities for innovation leadership: 1. Build safe, structured innovation labs. Small-scale, fast-cycle testing. Pilot new service ideas, kitchen processes, maintenance flows, guest journey upgrades at small, safe scale. Clear purpose for every lab. Every innovation experiment must answer: what system, guest experience, or sustainability impact are we trying to improve? Cross-functional participation. Include representatives from kitchen, maintenance, service, and leadership teams in innovation labs, blending insights across systems. 2. Harvest ideas systematically. Idea capture systems. Digital idea submission boards, weekly brainstorming huddles, suggestion walls, structured, visible, low-pressure idea collection points. Safe to fail environment. No punishment for proposing ideas, even if they seem incomplete or radical. Reward action, iteration, and learning, not just success. Rapid review cycles, weekly or bi-weekly idea review meetings. Greenlight fast tests, offer feedback, park ideas needing refinement. 3. Scale successful innovations. Systematically post-test review discipline. After every innovation lab, what worked, what broke, what will be standardized, improved, or shelved. Protect standards while scaling. Ensure all scaled innovations meet guest-first service, operational discipline, and sustainability standards. No exceptions. Publicly celebrate operational innovation wins. Recognize team members and groups who contributed successful innovations. Strengthening culture around solution building. Executive leadership practices for innovation system strength. Daily curiosity check. What small system or guest experience point could be improved today? Weekly idea harvest. Collect and review at least 3 small innovation ideas weekly. Pilot at least 1. Monthly innovation lab sprint. Focus a team sprint on solving one operational friction point creatively and sustainably. Quarterly innovation showcase. Share, celebrate, and embed the top successful innovations project-wide. Executive mindset for innovation leadership. Innovation is structured creativity, not chaos disguised as thinking outside the box. Innovation must serve guests first, systems second, and internal pride third. Fear of failure kills innovation faster than resource scarcity. At GWF, executive leaders create cultures where teams build the future daily, one small operational improvement at a time. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you harvest ideas daily, you prevent stagnation. If you test ideas rapidly, you prevent drift. If you celebrate smart improvement, you build operational immortality. 10.3 The Kaizen Model at GWF Executive Leadership Practice. Why small daily improvements create unbreakable operations. At Greenfield WorkFlow, Kaizen, continuous small improvements, is not a slogan. It is a daily operational and leadership discipline. Big improvements collapse without small improvements sustaining them. Daily micro-corrections prevent system drift, guest dissatisfaction, and team burnout. Kaizen thinking protects agility, team pride, guest loyalty, and operational resilience. At GWF, executive leaders embed Kaizen into every shift, every system, every leadership action, not through special projects, but through daily behavior. Core executive responsibilities for daily improvement leadership: 1. Embed micro-improvement mindset into daily operations. Shift-level improvements. Every shift should include one small, visible operational upgrade: speed, quality, communication, energy flow, or guest journey detail. Team empowerment to improve. Every team member must know they are authorized and expected to suggest and trial small improvements without waiting for permission. Live Kaizen rituals. End of shift quick rounds. What did we improve today, no matter how small? 2. Lead by example in small corrections and optimizations. Personal daily improvement goal. Each executive leader must visibly correct or improve one operational, leadership, or service standard personally per day. Coach teams in microfixes. Train teams to notice friction points and system drifts and fix them safely, quickly, proudly. Celebrate incremental wins. Publicly reinforce and reward small improvements, treating them as serious leadership behaviors, not accidental luck. 3. Protect the integrity of continuous improvement. No waiting for perfect ideas. Small, fast, safe improvements beat waiting for perfect big ideas. No tolerating "we've always done it this way" thinking. Challenge tradition if it weakens guest experience, team energy, or operational efficiency. No isolated improvements. Embed successful micro upgrades into SOPs, training materials, and daily habits visibly. Executive leadership practices for Kaizen culture strength. Daily micro improvement tracking. What small improvement did I notice, coach, or install today? Weekly improvement sharing. Huddle and leadership meeting moments where small improvements are reviewed, shared, and amplified. Monthly improvement integration audit. Ensure micro improvements are documented and embedded, not forgotten after emotional celebration. Quarterly continuous improvement clinics, refresher sessions teaching teams how to spot, suggest, and trial small operational upgrades. Executive mindset for Kaizen leadership. If you're not improving something daily, you're falling behind invisibly. Improvement culture is built by normalizing action, not dramatizing change. Small improvements compound faster and safer than big, rare revolutions. At GWF, executive leaders protect operational and cultural strength through quiet, daily, proud micro-corrections. One upgrade per shift, one future built per day. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you wait to improve, you weaken. If you improve daily, you multiply strength. If you lead Kaizen as a living practice, you protect the guest, the team, the project, and the future. 10.4 metrics for progress, not perfection. Executive leadership practice, why tracking progress protects growth and team energy. At Greenfield WorkFlow, perfection is not the target. Consistent, visible progress is. Chasing perfection paralyzes decision-making, burns out teams, and weakens adaptability. Tracking progress builds confidence, operational strength, and long-term excellence. Measuring only perfection hides real wins and silences small but critical improvements. At GWF, executive leaders measure what matters: system health, guest loyalty, team growth, operational resilience, through disciplined, progress-based metrics. Core executive responsibilities for progress-driven leadership. 1. Build metrics, focused on operational strength, guest experience metrics, emotional engagement scores, recovery effectiveness times, loyalty and referral rates, operational system metrics, task completion rates on Odoo boards, SOP adherence rates, downtime reduction percentages. Team growth metrics, leadership pipeline progression, feedback response time and closure rates, improvement suggestions implemented. 2. Protect team energy with realistic growth targets. Progress over absolute perfection. Celebrate 5% operational improvement. Don't demand 100% immediately. Fast feedback loops. Close gaps early through weekly metric reviews, not quarterly big reveals. Visible growth recognition. Publicly highlight micro wins tied to operational and guest experience upgrades. 3. Build systems that reflect real progress. Transparent metric boards. Share key guest, operational, and team development metrics in team spaces, not hidden in management offices. Team-driven improvement goals. Involve teams in setting realistic, stretch but possible targets. Continuous calibration. Adjust metrics when operational realities shift. Don't let outdated goals demoralize teams. Executive leadership practices for measurement discipline. Daily metric awareness. What small movement forward happened today, and was it captured visibly? Weekly progress scan. Celebrate systems or teams showing measurable growth. Troubleshoot those stalling early. Monthly metrics calibration. Audit whether what you are measuring still aligns with operational, cultural, and guest-first priorities. Quarterly growth health checks. Map systemic wins and gaps, not just individual performances. Executive mindset for growth leadership. Leadership celebrates clean progress, not unreachable perfection. Metrics exist to drive action, not to punish, delay, or overwhelm. Trust grows faster when teams see progress tracked, respected, and celebrated properly. At GWF, executive leaders measure growth wisely, correct drift early, and inspire sustainable excellence. One metric, one system, one guest experience at a time. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you chase perfection, you lose energy. If you track progress, you gain momentum. If you celebrate meaningful improvements, you build cultures that never stop growing. Introduction 11. Standards, Compliance, and Legacy Executive Leadership Overview. Why standards and compliance create brand legacy. At Greenfield WorkFlow, guest loyalty, operational excellence, and leadership credibility are protected by strict, consistent adherence to standards, not by chance, mood, or shortcuts. Every service moment, facility experience, and communication touchpoint must reflect the GWF vision, not individual variation. Compliance protects safety, sustainability, brand trust, and guest emotional security. Legacy is built not by one brilliant act, but by thousands of small standards kept invisible but alive. At GWF, executive leaders are not just protecting today's operation, they are protecting the future guest experience and the project's lasting impact. Section structure, core executive responsibilities, 11.1, upholding brand and design identity. Ensure every operational action, service moment, and facility standard protects and strengthens GWF's visual, emotional, and guest experience identity. 11.2 CI, corporate identity, style and spatial feel. Maintain and protect the project's consistent look, feel, emotional atmosphere, and service character, ensuring all guest spaces, team areas, and communications reflect the GWF DNA. 11.3 Intellectual property and knowledge stewardship. Protect and manage GW unique systems, service rituals, innovations, and cultural practices, treating them as operational assets that must be documented, improved, and shielded from loss or misuse. 11.4 Your legacy as a GWF leader. Build leadership legacy daily by protecting guest loyalty, team culture, operational excellence, and environmental stewardship, leaving systems stronger and people better prepared because you led. Executive leadership practices for standards and legacy protection. Daily standard visibility check. Where today did a standard protect guest loyalty or operational flow, and where did it drift? Weekly compliance scan. Spot check health, safety, service, and sustainability compliance, correcting drift fast. Monthly brand integrity review. Walk guest journeys with fresh eyes. What visuals, emotional tones, or operational actions need recalibration? Quarterly legacy impact reflection. What systems, teams, and cultural practices are stronger today because of my leadership actions? Executive mindset for legacy leadership. Standards protect operational excellence and emotional loyalty, quietly but absolutely. Compliance is not about bureaucracy. It is about guest safety, brand trust, and team confidence. Leadership legacy is built daily, not announced, not self-claimed. At GWF, executive leaders pick today's guest trust while quietly building tomorrow's project strength. 11.1 Upholding brand and design identity executive leadership practice. Why brand and design identity are operational, not cosmetic. At Greenfield WorkFlow, brand identity is not marketing. It is the invisible strength behind guest trust, emotional connection, and service consistency. Every visual, environmental, and service experience must reflect GWF's core values: belonging, sustainability, excellence. Inconsistency weakens guest emotional security, no matter how well operational tasks are completed. Brand and design identity are protected or damaged daily through leadership presence, decisions, and corrections. At GWF, executive leaders are responsible for ensuring every service, communication, and space strengthens the brand without deviation, dilution, or delay. Core executive responsibilities for brand protection. 1. Enforce brand standards in physical spaces. Visual consistency. Correct signage, decor, uniforms, guest-facing materials, always aligned to GWF visual standards. Environmental atmosphere. Music, lighting, scent, cleanliness, and energy flow must create the intended emotional state: calm, welcoming, connected to nature, guest-centered. Facility integrity. Immediate repair, cleaning, or enhancement of any visual, tactile, or environmental drift. No worn-out, dirty, or off-brand physical elements tolerated. 2. Enforce brand standards in service experience, greeting, language, and rituals. Every team interaction must feel GWF-specific, warm, authentic, respectful, guest-prioritized. Service tone. Calm professionalism blended with personal warmth. No casualness that weakens guest security. No mechanical coldness that erases human connection. Emotional blueprint protection. Every guest journey moment should mirror GWF's emotional signature. Cared for, respected, at ease, inspired toward a sustainable, meaningful life experience. 3. Lead brand identity by visible personal example. Leadership presence. Executive leaders model dress code, service rituals, communication style, facility respect daily. Correct drift early and respectfully. Quietly but firmly correct any visual, service, or cultural drift from the GWF standard. No letting small exceptions erode system integrity. Teach brand stewardship constantly. Coach teams to understand not just what standards exist, but why protecting emotional guest consistency matters at the deepest operational level. Executive leadership practices for brand protection. Where today is the guest journey, 100% visually and emotionally on brand, and where must I correct? Weekly brand culture briefing. Reinforce brand identity, values, and service emotional blueprint during shift briefings or team meetings. Monthly brand integrity audit. Walk full guest and back-of-house routes, logging and correcting any visual, environmental, or service deviations. Quarterly brand renewal sessions. Refresh team energy and understanding around GWF's evolving brand story and guest-first emotional standards. Executive mindset for brand identity leadership. Every visual, service, and emotional inconsistency costs guest trust invisibly. Brand protection is not the marketing team's job. It is the daily work of every executive leader. Emotional consistency is remembered longer than operational perfection. At GWF, leadership is judged not just by what guests experience once, but by how consistently they experience GWF's emotional identity every visit, every service moment, every interaction. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you protect the brand daily, you protect guest loyalty. If you drift from brand standards, you erode emotional trust. Protect the visual, the emotional, the environmental, because the future is built through small consistencies. 11.2 CI corporate identity, style, and spatial feel. Executive leadership practice. Why style, feel, and identity are operational standards, not decoration. At Greenfield WorkFlow, corporate identity CI is not a logo or a color palette. It is the lived guest and team emotional experience. Every space, every design choice, every sensory detail shapes the guest's unconscious trust or discomfort. Inconsistency in look, feel, sound, or service tone immediately erodes emotional loyalty, even if operational tasks are completed correctly. CI, spatial feel, and style must be actively maintained, corrected, and celebrated, not assumed to stay good automatically. At GWF, executive leaders protect the emotional and aesthetic atmosphere as part of daily operational discipline, not as a marketing side project. Core executive responsibilities for CI and spatial feel protection. 1. Uphold corporate identity in all visuals and spaces. Visual systems, consistency, signage, uniforms, guest communications, service materials, all aligned to approved CI guidelines, colors, typography, imagery, tone. Spatial feel consistency. Entry areas, dining zones, lounges, guest restrooms, outdoor spaces, all must reflect GWF's clean, natural, elegant, guest-centered emotional blueprint. Environmental standards, lighting, music, scents, sounds, airflow, calibrated to reinforce calm, health, welcome, and sustainability. 2. Train teams to protect style and atmosphere. Guest lens training. Teach all teams to walk spaces daily through the eyes of first-time guests, spotting visual, auditory, or service field drifts instantly. Rapid correction culture. Empower frontline teams to immediately report or fix spatial inconsistencies without waiting for leadership. Leadership visibility rituals. Executive leaders must do daily, physical walkthroughs, checking for any small visual, emotional, or experiential drift and correcting before guests feel it. 3. Protect emotional atmosphere, systematically service tone audits. Are greetings, service phrases, guest interactions aligned to emotional hospitality or slipping toward mechanical politeness or casualness? Back-of-house feel consistency. Team spaces must also reflect GWF's energy and feel. Calm, organized, respectful, not chaotic, neglected, or disconnected. Guest transition rituals. Arrival, seating, farewell, recovery moments must always transition guests smoothly between spaces and emotional states intentionally. Executive leadership practices for CI and atmosphere excellence. Daily CI integrity walk. Is every guest-facing space today fully aligned with GWF visual and emotional standards? Weekly style and feel debrief. Share feedback from guests and leadership walks, correcting style drifts and refreshing team awareness. Monthly CI system audit. Verify that all signage, communications, service uniforms, and environmental settings still match the approved identity standards. Quarterly spatial feel reset. Refresh emotional atmosphere with seasonal updates, lighting changes, music refreshes, decor resets, without violating brand consistency. Executive mindset for style and feel leadership. The guest notices emotional drift long before they notice operational errors. Visual chaos or emotional inconsistency is leadership failure, not team error. Protecting CI is protecting the invisible brand contract with every guest. At GWF, executive leaders must walk, see, feel, correct, and teach brand identity with the same intensity they apply to financial health, guest recovery, or team energy. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you protect the look, feel, and energy of the spaces, you protect guest emotional loyalty. If you allow drift, you silently damage trust. Lead by seeing, correcting, and strengthening the invisible systems. 11.3 Intellectual Property and Knowledge Stewardship Executive Leadership Practice. Why GWF's knowledge and systems are strategic assets. At Greenfield WorkFlow, our real competitive advantage is not in physical assets alone. It is in our systems, our service rituals, our cultural practices, our guest-first operational intelligence. Knowledge unprotected is knowledge lost. Systems undocumented are systems vulnerable. Cultural rituals left informal drift and erode with turnover, pressure, or expansion. At GWF, executive leaders are not just users of systems, they are guardians and stewards of the knowledge and operational DNA that protect the project's future. Core executive responsibilities for knowledge and IP protection. 1. Document operational and cultural knowledge. Rigorously operational systems, SOPs, service flows, maintenance protocols, guest recovery processes must be written, updated, and protected against loss. Cultural rituals, greetings, guest emotional touchpoints, farewell practices, leadership behaviors, documented with emotional intention as well as technical description. Leadership practices, how decisions are made, how crises are handled, how innovation is structured, captured, and made transferable to future leaders. 2. Protect knowledge against drift and loss. Version control discipline. Always work with the latest operational manuals, service playbooks, training materials. No informal local adaptations without strategic review and approval. Knowledge custodian roles. Assign team members or leadership groups responsible for maintaining, auditing, and upgrading knowledge bases quarterly. New leader onboarding integration. Every new manager must be trained in GWF's intellectual property protections, respecting and expanding systems, not reinventing from personal preference. 3. Celebrate knowledge stewardship as leadership. Promote system builders. Reward team members who not only perform well but improve, document, and protect operational systems for others. Teach the why. Ensure everyone understands. We don't document because of bureaucracy. We document because knowledge is a precious, hard-won operational asset. Legacy thinking. Leaders must ask daily, if I were to leave tomorrow, would GWF's service quality, system flow, and culture stay protected and strong? Executive leadership practices for knowledge protection. Daily system integrity check. Did I update or protect one system, SOP, or operational guide today? Weekly ritual documentation review. Audit one service ritual, cultural practice, or leadership habit for drift. Update descriptions if needed. Monthly IP stewardship meeting. Cross-leadership team reviews of system health, knowledge transfer gaps, and innovation documentation. Quarterly knowledge continuity planning. Evaluate leadership pipelines, team cross-training, and knowledge repositories. Correcting vulnerability points early. Executive mindset for IP and knowledge stewardship. Every undocumented success will eventually disappear. Every undocumented correction will eventually need to be relearned painfully. Every protected piece of knowledge multiplies future resilience and guest loyalty. At GWF, executive leaders do not just protect today's service flow, they build the operational memory that protects the project for generations. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you use it but don't protect it, you weaken the system. If you protect it, improve it, and pass it forward, you build a project that outlives individuals and inspires loyalty forever. 11.4 Your legacy as a GWF leader, executive leadership practice. Why legacy is built daily, not declared. At Greenfield WorkFlow, legacy is not about position, ego, or titles. It is about what you leave stronger, cleaner, and more sustainable than you found it. Every system you improve becomes part of your leadership footprint. Every team member you grow carries your leadership energy into the future. Every guest experience you protect strengthens the emotional trust guests place in GWF long after you're gone. At GWF, executive leaders understand that leadership is stewardship, and that real leadership is judged only by the systems, standards, and people they leave behind stronger. Core executive responsibilities for legacy building. 1. Strengthen systems. Don't personalize control system. First, personality. Second, Build operational systems that survive your absence, not systems dependent on your daily presence or charisma. Train others to own standards. Transfer leadership behaviors, decision frameworks, and correction skills, not just operational tasks. Make systems visible and accessible. No secret knowledge leadership. Everything essential must be documented, trained, and passed forward cleanly. 2. Strengthen people, not just results. Coach, don't just command. Daily micro-coaching builds stronger service and leadership muscles across the team. Spot and build future leaders early. Identify guest-first thinkers, system protectors, quiet strength carriers. Nurture them actively, not passively. Celebrate ownership behavior. Recognize when team members act like protectors of systems and culture, not just task completers. 3. Strengthen culture by protecting daily standards. Never normalize drift. Correct small deviations fast. Protect emotional security, service excellence, and environmental strength every day. Be the example when no one's watching. True leadership is what you do when the guest isn't watching, when management isn't present, when the pressure is low. Link every action to the future. Ask constantly, what am I building today that will protect GWF's guests, teams, and mission tomorrow? Executive leadership practices for daily legacy building. Daily system strengthening action. What system did I document, upgrade, or protect today? Daily people strengthening action. Who did I coach, empower, or recognize today for living GWF standards? Weekly legacy reflection. What drift did I prevent this week? What future leadership energy did I activate this week? Quarterly legacy calibration. Check if systems are stronger without your direct intervention. Check if teams are growing without dependence on your daily presence. Executive mindset for leadership. Legacy is invisible until tested by time, stress, and expansion. Leadership is not remembered for moments of spotlight. It is remembered for silent systems that outlast pressure. Protect what matters most. Guest trust, operational integrity, team health, cultural resilience, environmental sustainability. At GWF, executive leaders do not aim to be heroes. They aim to be builders of systems, protectors of trust, and multipliers of human strength. That is leadership legacy. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you protect only today, your leadership ends with you. If you protect tomorrow, your leadership grows after you. Legacy is built in every correction, every coaching moment, every silent system improvement, daily, proudly, invisibly. Introduction. 12. Leadership is a practice, growth toolkit. Executive leadership overview. Why leadership excellence must be practiced daily. At Greenfield WorkFlow, leadership is not a title, a phase, or a moment of success. It is a daily set of habits, disciplines, and growth decisions. Skill without reflection decays under pressure. Systems without leadership presence drift into mediocrity. Teams mirror leadership behavior. Every shift, every meeting, every unseen moment. At GWF, executive leaders treat leadership as a living, evolving practice, protected by daily rituals, deep reflection, structured learning, and growth-driven community. Leadership growth at GWF is not optional. It is the duty, privilege, and pathway to personal and project excellence. Section structure. Core executive responsibilities. 12.1 Daily self-leadership practices. Build personal strength, emotional regulation, operational clarity, and guest-first focus through disciplined daily habits. 12.2 Reflective logs and development maps. Track leadership challenges, wins, gaps, and goals systematically, turning daily experiences into strategic personal growth fuel. 12.3 Resources, mentors, and peer circles. Connect consistently with leadership resources, mentorship energy, and peer accountability groups, never growing in isolation. 12.4 Evaluation, celebration, and recommitment. Evaluate leadership honestly, celebrate visible growth, and recommit every cycle to higher service, sharper systems, deeper emotional engagement. Executive leadership practices for sustainable growth. Daily self-calibration. Am I leading by system, standard, and emotional strength, or by pressure, drift, and emotion? Weekly growth ritual. Document small leadership wins and visible growth needs. Refresh intentionality weekly. Monthly accountability pulse. Share learning, struggles, and victories with trusted leadership peers or mentors. Quarterly growth recommitment. Reset personal leadership goals based on real guest impact, team evolution, and system improvements. Executive mindset for leadership as practice. Leadership strength is a daily rebuild, not a one-time achievement. Growth loops. Action, feedback, reflection, upgrade must never stop. Personal discipline and humility accelerate leadership impact faster than raw intelligence or technical skill. At GWF, executive leaders grow not by accident, but by disciplined daily practice, structured reflection, and service-driven ambition. 12.1 Daily Self-Leadership Practices. Executive Leadership Practice. Why self-leadership is the foundation of all leadership. At Greenfield WorkFlow, you cannot lead others consistently if you cannot lead yourself daily. Guest-first systems collapse if leaders drift emotionally or operationally. Teams mirror leadership presence, energy, calmness, clarity, or chaos. Sustainable leadership strength comes from daily disciplines, not occasional bursts of brilliance. At GWF, executive leaders practice daily rituals of self-calibration, emotional regulation, operational clarity, and future-oriented reflection, protecting the energy that protects the project. Core executive responsibilities for self-leadership. 1. Begin every day with intentional calibration. Morning leadership check-in. 10 minutes. Review personal energy state. Visualize key guest and operational outcomes. Set a daily leadership focus, e.g., guest emotional experience, team standard reinforcement, system improvement. Affirm values, not moods. Anchor actions to GWF values and project mission, not personal emotion swings. 2. Protect personal energy and emotional stability. Micro-reset rituals. 2-minute breathing resets between meetings, shift inspections, or operational recoveries. No emotional leakage. Teams should feel your consistency, not your internal stress, frustration, or fatigue. Guest energy filter. Before every guest-facing moment, reset posture, breath, presence. Approach the guest with calm, focused positivity. 3. Maintain operational sharpness and discipline. Daily system walks. Touch systems visibly, correct early, support quietly. Check facts before reacting. Validate operational realities before giving praise, correction, or decisions. Daily system or team upgrade action. Fix, reinforce, or optimize one small operational or leadership behavior per shift. 4. End every day with micro-reflection evening leadership review. What was one leadership win today? What was one gap, mistake, or missed opportunity? What leadership upgrade can be practiced tomorrow? Leave the day clean. Mentally close out unfinished emotional loops, ensuring fresh clarity for the next day. Executive leadership practices for self-mastery. Daily morning focus ritual. What leadership quality will I practice more visibly today? Mid-shift energy scan. Is my leadership energy helping systems and people or draining them? Post-shift calibration check. What guest, team, or operational moment today taught me something about leadership? Weekly self-reflection pulse. Identify emerging leadership patterns. Reinforce strengths. Correct drift fast. Executive mindset for daily self-leadership teams. Grow as fast as their leaders grow, no faster. Guest experiences elevate only when leadership presence strengthens systems and energy. Leadership drift is invisible at first, until systems crack under unseen leadership inconsistency. At GWF, executive leaders protect the invisible strength of the project through visible, disciplined, daily self-leadership practices. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you lead yourself clearly today, you can lead teams clearly tomorrow. Small daily disciplines create massive leadership impact. The future of GWF guests and teams depends on your private self-mastery. Practice it proudly. 12.2 Reflective logs and development maps. Executive leadership practice. Why structured reflection accelerates leadership growth. At Greenfield WorkFlow, experience without structured reflection is lost learning. Busy leaders risk repeating the same mistakes or missing hidden strengths if experiences are not captured and studied. Structured reflection transforms daily operational pressure into leadership wisdom. Development maps turn vague ambitions into targeted leadership upgrades. At GWF, executive leaders use simple, disciplined reflection and mapping tools to extract leadership growth from every shift, project, and pressure moment. Core executive responsibilities for reflection and development. 1. Maintain a daily leadership reflection log. 5-minute end-of-day reflection. Today's win. What leadership behavior strengthened a guest experience, a team standard, or a system today? Today's gap. What behavior, reaction, or decision weakened flow, clarity, or energy today? Tomorrow's adjustment. What one behavior will I sharpen, correct, or emphasize tomorrow? Format discipline. Bullet points, short entries, keep reflections fast, honest, and actionable. 2. Build and update a personal development map. Quarterly leadership mapping session. Identify core leadership categories. Guest first behavior, operational system discipline, emotional stability under pressure, team coaching ability, strategic decision clarity. Assess strength zones and growth zones. What skills are stable? What skills are drifting or underdeveloped? Set specific leadership growth targets. Example, increase team coaching moments per shift from 1 to 3. Reduce reaction-based corrections by 50% through calm, structured feedback. 3. Review and upgrade reflection systems regularly. Monthly review of logs, spot leadership behavior patterns emerging, reinforce strengths, immediately plan corrections. Adjust development maps quarterly. As systems, guest expectations, and team dynamics evolve, leadership maps must refresh accordingly. Use reflection during promotions and evaluations. Show leadership growth trajectory through structured reflection, not just operational KPIs. Executive leadership practices for reflection mastery. Daily micro-reflection. What leadership upgrade did I practice or miss today? Weekly pattern scan. Are similar mistakes repeating? Are small wins compounding into larger leadership impact? Monthly growth milestone review. Which leadership targets moved forward clearly? Which areas need intensified focus? Quarterly self-leadership calibration. Share key lessons, struggles, and wins with a mentor, peer, or coach. Executive mindset for reflective leadership growth. Ignored lessons return as bigger problems. Leadership memory is short under stress. Written reflection preserves learning when emotions fade. Development clarity prevents leadership drift. At GWF, executive leaders extract wisdom from every day, building leadership muscle through reflection, structure, and relentless small improvements. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you record it, you can learn from it. If you map it, you can grow it. If you ignore it, you will repeat it. Leadership reflection protects operational excellence and multiplies future leadership strength. 12.3 Resources, mentors, and peer circles. Executive leadership practice. Why leadership growth cannot happen in isolation. At Greenfield WorkFlow, leadership is not a solo performance. It is strengthened through continuous learning, feedback, and accountability. Isolated leaders become fragile, narrow, and reactionary over time. Connected leaders stay resilient, adaptable, and innovative. Learning networks multiply leadership strength far beyond what solo effort can achieve. At GWF, executive leaders stay plugged into structured learning ecosystems, feeding growth through curated resources, mentoring relationships, and peer accountability groups. Core executive responsibilities for connected growth. 1. Actively engage with learning resources. Weekly learning rhythm. Read, listen, or watch high-quality leadership, guest service, operational excellence, and system design resources weekly. Curate a personal leadership library. Books, articles, podcasts, operational manuals, case studies focused on service excellence, sustainable leadership, and continuous improvement. Apply immediately. No passive learning. Extract one actionable insight per resource consumed and implement quickly. 2. Build mentoring relationships. Identify key mentors, internal, GWF senior leaders, and external, industry experts, community leaders, mentors who model guest-first leadership, emotional stability, and operational mastery. Structure mentorship meetings, prepare questions, report action on past advice. Keep conversations focused on leadership impact, not personal validation. Mentor others. Build leadership pipelines by mentoring rising leaders, teaching through structured coaching, not informal chatting. 3. Create and maintain peer accountability circles. Small group learning circles. 3 to 5 executive leaders meeting monthly to review leadership growth goals, operational struggles, guest experience wins, and personal resilience practices. Structured peer coaching. Rotate leadership challenges and solutions, keeping dialogue actionable, professional, and values-driven. Confidentiality and trust culture. Build spaces where leadership vulnerability strengthens, not weakens. Trust and collaboration. Executive leadership practices for connected growth. Daily learning application. What leadership principle or operational upgrade did I learn and apply today? Weekly mentor or peer check-in. Short updates, reflections, action sharing. Monthly resource review. What resource challenged my assumptions or upgraded my leadership practice this month? Quarterly growth circle deep dives. focused sessions to tackle emerging leadership challenges and opportunities with peers. Executive mindset for connected leadership growth. Leadership strength compounds faster when humility meets structure. Mentors shortcut learning curves. Peers prevent blind spots. Lifelong learning is not a slogan. It is a leadership survival skill. At GWF, executive leaders build themselves faster and stronger by staying plugged into living leadership ecosystems. Reading, listening, teaching, questioning, reflecting, constantly. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you connect, you strengthen. If you isolate, you weaken. If you feed your leadership mind daily, your leadership presence will feed the project's future daily. Stay connected, stay humble, stay growing. Section 12.3 is now fully completed. Serious, structured, and ready for executive leaders fueling leadership evolution continuously at GWF. Would you like me to continue immediately with Section 12.4 Evaluation, Celebration, and Recommitment, closing Section 12 and showing how executive leaders renew their strength and leadership clarity every growth cycle? Ready to proceed? 12.4 Evaluation, Celebration, and Recommitment Executive Leadership Practice. Why leadership growth must be cyclical and visible. At Greenfield WorkFlow, leadership strength is not static. It must be evaluated honestly, celebrated wisely, and recommitted to intentionally every growth cycle. Unchecked leadership drift leads to invisible cultural and operational cracks. Uncelebrated leadership wins weaken momentum and team pride. Unrecommitted leaders lose their own emotional center, leading to slow disengagement and eventual operational erosion. At GWF, executive leaders close every growth cycle by reflecting, celebrating, and recommitting, keeping leadership alive, clean, and future-driven. Core executive responsibilities for growth cycle completion. 1. Structure. Regular leadership evaluations. Self-evaluation, monthly and quarterly. Leadership behavior reflection against GWF values and operational standards. Guest experience impact review. Team coaching and system improvement review. 360-degree feedback, quarterly or semi-annually. Honest, structured feedback from peers, direct reports, and mentors. Outcome-based growth check. Did my leadership behaviors tangibly strengthen guests, teams, and systems this cycle? 2. Celebrate visible leadership growth. Personal acknowledgement. Recognize and honor real leadership improvements. Operational upgrades, emotional resilience, coaching wins, system strengthening. Team acknowledgement. Celebrate team growth achievements that leadership influenced, tying leadership growth directly to project evolution. Share stories. Use storytelling to inspire others. How small leadership changes produced visible operational or cultural victories. 3. Recommit to the next growth cycle. Refresh personal mission. Reconnect with GWF's why. Belonging, sustainability, creation. Align personal leadership energy to project vision. Set new stretch targets. Identify next leadership growth edges. Emotional discipline, system thinking, guest-first innovation, team energy multiplication. Declare recommitment publicly. Share personal leadership goals with mentors, peers, or teams, multiplying accountability and inspiration. Executive leadership practices for growth renewal. Daily leadership presence check. Am I leading today with clean energy, system clarity, and guest-first excellence? Weekly reflection moment. What small leadership growth moment happened this week? Monthly evaluation ritual. Review leadership log entries. Capture growth patterns and plan immediate next steps. Quarterly celebration and recommitment ceremony. Lead or participate in short, structured sessions, celebrating progress and declaring next stage leadership commitments. Executive mindset for leadership renewal. Growth is not linear. It requires pauses, acknowledgments, and fresh decisions. Progress deserves celebration, not as ego inflation, but as operational fuel. Recommitment is a sign of strength, not of weakness. At GWF, executive leaders model growth humility, operational resilience, and future-driven service by leading their own evolution visibly, proudly, and relentlessly. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you evaluate cleanly, you grow faster. If you celebrate properly, you multiply momentum. If you recommit openly, you inspire teams to trust, stretch, and protect the future with you. Leadership growth is a living cycle. Keep it alive. Introduction 13. Executive Leadership Commitment. Closing chapter. Executive Summary. Why leadership is a daily commitment, not a destination. At Greenfield WorkFlow, executive leadership is not a finish line. It is a living, breathing, daily commitment to people, systems, guests, and sustainable futures. True leadership is invisible until pressure arrives. Then it defines the guest experience, the team energy, and the operational resilience. True leadership requires daily self-discipline, service excellence, system stewardship, and emotional intelligence. Legacy leadership means protecting systems, empowering people, and building futures long after personal presence ends. At GWF, executive leaders stand for something larger than themselves: the future of guest-centered, sustainable hospitality, and team-driven excellence. Final executive responsibilities. 13.1 Protect guest loyalty through daily excellence. Every system, every greeting, every correction, every leadership moment protects the guest trust that defines GWF's future. 13.2 Grow teams and cultures with discipline and joy. Leadership grows others first. Standards must be protected and energy must be lifted every shift, every project, every pressure moment. 13.3 Build systems that outlast individual leadership. Operational excellence and emotional hospitality must be embedded into systems, not reliant on individual charisma or effort. 13.4 Lead self, team, and project forward. Daily leadership strength must renew every morning through action, reflection, humility, and recommitment, not assumption or habit. Executive leadership final mindset. Protect the guest experience like the future depends on it, because it does. Grow team strength like leadership is about others, because it is. Strengthen systems daily, because invisible cracks become visible disasters. Build a legacy of operational resilience, guest loyalty, team pride, and sustainable impact, because leadership without legacy is noise, not service. At GWF, executive leaders are not managers of people. They are stewards of systems, protectors of dreams, builders of trust, and makers of futures. That is the calling. That is the charge. That is the commitment. 13.1 Protect guest loyalty through daily excellence executive leadership practice. Why guest loyalty is earned and protected every day. At Greenfield WorkFlow, guest loyalty is not the result of marketing. It is the cumulative emotional memory built through daily operational excellence, emotional connection, and invisible system strength. Every guest interaction either strengthens loyalty or weakens it. There is no neutral guest moment. Operational mistakes can be forgiven if emotional loyalty is strong. Emotional betrayal, inconsistency, neglect, broken trust is remembered far longer than technical service mistakes. At GWF, executive leaders protect guest loyalty daily through visible leadership actions and invisible operational discipline. Core executive responsibilities for guest loyalty protection. 1. Build emotional trust. Every shift. Consistency is security. Guest emotional loyalty is built when service, system quality, and emotional warmth are predictably excellent, not fluctuating with moods, stress, or staffing shifts. Recover quickly and respectfully. Service recovery, when handled calmly and guest first, often creates stronger loyalty than mistake-free experiences. Protect guest dignity always. Even during corrections, delays, or operational pressure, guests must always feel respected, important, and emotionally safe. 2. Strengthen systems that serve guests, not internal comfort. Guest-first system thinking. Every operational system must be calibrated toward protecting guest flow, guest emotional security, and guest empowerment, not internal shortcuts or convenience. Daily system walks. Inspect service flows, facility quality, energy of spaces through the guest's lens. Correct drift instantly. 3. Lead teams toward guest-first energy and standards model. Guest-first thinking. Let every correction, coaching moment, and leadership decision model the guest-first principle, visibly, calmly, and respectfully. Celebrate guest loyalty moments. Recognize and celebrate when teams create emotional loyalty through small actions, service recoveries, or above-standard behaviors. Correct loyalty risks fast. Operational drift, service coldness, energy drop, emotional disconnect must be corrected immediately before they erode loyalty invisibly. Executive leadership practices for daily loyalty protection. Daily guest lens walk. If I were a first-time guest today, what would impress me and what would betray my trust? Weekly guest loyalty pulse. Review feedback trends, guest emotional signals, service ritual health, adjusting systems and coaching focus accordingly. Monthly loyalty protection audit. Map key guest loyalty touch points. Ensure operational and emotional consistency is protected at every point. Executive mindset for loyalty leadership. Guest loyalty is fragile, emotional, and cumulative. Earned daily, lost easily, protected only through operational and emotional discipline. Leadership must see loyalty as a living system, not a static result. Protect loyalty through action, not slogans. At GWF, executive leaders are guardians of guest emotional loyalty. Every system, every team, every shift, every decision. Because without guest loyalty, there is no future. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you protect guest emotion, you protect guest loyalty. If you protect guest loyalty, you protect GWF's future. Daily excellence builds emotional security builds loyalty builds legacy. Protect it daily. 13.2 Grow teams and cultures with discipline and joy. Executive leadership practice. Why team growth and cultural strength are leadership multipliers. At Greenfield WorkFlow, leaders do not just manage systems, they grow people and protect culture. A strong system with a weak culture eventually collapses. A joyful culture without discipline creates chaos and drift. Balanced leadership, discipline and joy together, builds teams that protect guest loyalty, strengthen operations, and innovate for the future. At GWF, executive leaders are expected to grow teams into self-sustaining, guest-centered, culture-protecting forces through daily visible leadership behavior. Core executive responsibilities for team and culture growth. 1. Build daily energy and discipline in teams. Model calm, positive energy. Even during pressure moments, executive leaders set the emotional tone. Calm, guest-focused, disciplined, and quietly joyful. Reinforce daily operational standards. Protect SOPs, guest service rituals, environmental standards daily. Early correction prevents cultural drift later. Celebrate wins without losing focus. Recognize team victories genuinely, while maintaining the seriousness of protecting standards always. 2. Coach team members as future leaders. Micro-coaching daily. Correct, guide, and uplift team behaviors daily, not just during formal evaluations. Identify strengths early. Spot guest-first reflexes, system loyalty, emotional resilience, and nurture them intentionally. Challenge growth gently. Stretch team members with growth assignments, leadership moments, and coaching responsibilities inside safe operational frameworks. 3. Protect and strengthen culture through leadership presence. Culture is lived, not announced. Leadership behaviors must reflect GWF values visibly, no gap between words and actions. Address culture drift early. Gossip, operational shortcuts, energy drops, entitlement, corrected immediately, respectfully, and factually. Teach team to protect each other. Build team rituals and norms where protecting standards, energy, and guest-first behaviors is everyone's responsibility, not just leadership's. Executive leadership practices for culture multiplication. Daily energy and standards calibration. Is today's team energy joyful but disciplined? Weekly team growth coaching. One leadership behavior taught, reinforced, or modeled clearly each week. Monthly culture health check. Where is team culture strongest? And where are warning signs of drift or fatigue? Quarterly team growth celebrations. Publicly recognize team members who embody GWF leadership values. Service first, system protecting, energy lifting. Executive mindset for team and culture leadership. Energy is contagious. Lead it intentionally. Discipline is freedom. Protect standards with calm pride. Culture is fragile. Protect it every day without exception. At GWF, executive leaders create ecosystems where excellence is expected, energy is protected, and guest-first service is lived joyfully, seriously, and daily. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you grow people, you grow systems. If you protect culture, you protect the future. If you lead with discipline and joy together, you multiply team loyalty, guest loyalty, and operational strength forever. 13.3 Build systems that outlast individual leadership, executive leadership practice. Why systems, not personalities, protect operational excellence. At Greenfield WorkFlow, real leadership is judged not by how visible you are today, but by how strong your systems are when you are gone. Systems must protect guest experience, team culture, and operational flow without dependency on individual mood, memory, or presence. Personalized leadership without system transfer weakens future resilience. Sustainable excellence is always system-driven, not personality-driven. At GWF, executive leaders are system architects, building structures that protect standards, empower teams, and serve guests long after individuals rotate, retire, or rise. Core executive responsibilities for system building. 1. Design operational systems that stand alone. Guest service rituals. Standardized, documented, trained, not dependent on who's on shift. Maintenance and operational protocols. Clear checklists, reporting structures, escalation flows, so that daily excellence is the normal flow, not a leadership exception. Cultural behaviors and corrections. Ritualized culture-building practices that survive leadership changes, morning huddles, guest-first reminders, energy resets, shift-end feedback loops. 2. Embed knowledge and processes, visibly living SOPs, operational manuals and standards updated regularly, not forgotten on shelves. Leadership playbooks, decision-making frameworks, correction flows, feedback systems, so future leaders inherit wisdom, not guesswork. Guest journey maps, emotional engagement points systematized, measured, and upgraded, not lost when a few star players move on. 3. Build leadership pipelines that understand systems. First, teach systems, not just styles. Future leaders must inherit system responsibility, not mimic personal leadership quirks. Cross-train extensively. Ensure operational, service, and cultural systems are understood across departments. No single-point failure risks. Legacy thinking in promotions. Promote leaders who protect systems first, not those who perform individually but leave gaps after departure. Executive leadership practices for system legacy, daily system visibility check. Are today's guest smiles, service flows, operational wins protected by systems, or dependent on specific people? Weekly system drift correction. Identify where informal practices threaten operational or cultural integrity. Monthly SOP and playbook audit. Refresh, correct, or upgrade systems visibly and systematically. Quarterly leadership continuity planning. Map successors, cross-train roles, and reinforce system-first thinking across leadership layers. Executive mindset for sustainable leadership. Charisma fades, systems endure. Personal energy helps, but systems protect guests and teams permanently. True leadership legacy is invisible systems that deliver visible excellence without dependency. At GWF, executive leaders do not just shine, they build frameworks that make sure GWF shines even brighter after they move forward. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you build systems, you build strength. If you document wisdom, you multiply leadership. If you leave systems stronger than you found them, your leadership never truly leaves. 13.4 led self-team and project-forward daily executive leadership practice. Why leadership renewal must happen every day at Greenfield WorkFlow. Leadership is not one decision, one moment, or one shift. It is daily action, daily self-renewal, daily system strengthening. Projects drift when leaders drift. Teams lose energy when leaders stop practicing clarity and presence. Guest loyalty weakens when leadership stops sharpening focus and standards daily. At GWF, executive leaders re-choose leadership each morning through mindset, discipline, service, and operational courage. Core executive responsibilities for daily leadership renewal. 1. Lead yourself first every morning. Morning leadership ritual. Review personal energy. Set operational and emotional leadership targets. Anchor self in GWF's why, belonging, sustainability, creation, emotional calibration, no emotional leakage. Project calmness, confidence, clarity, no matter internal stress levels. System visibility. Walk guest pathways early. Confirm system health visibly and quietly. 2. Lead your team forward every shift. Shift launch energy. Set team tone in huddles. Disciplined, guest first, positive, focused. Mid-shift calibration. Correct drift fast. Celebrate small wins visibly. End of shift reset. Leave systems ready. Team energy clean. Leadership presence respected. 3. Lead the project future every week. Operational improvements. Small upgrades to systems, service standards, training flows every week. Cultural strengthening. Teaching moments reinforcing GWF values, guest-first service, and team energy standards. Leadership legacy actions. Coach future leaders. Document upgrades. Strengthen knowledge bases weekly. Executive leadership practices for daily forward momentum. Daily morning self-check. What will I lead more clearly today? Mid-shift guest and team pulse check. Where is energy high? Where must leadership presence be increased? End-of-day reflection. What one leadership behavior protected guests, teams, and systems today? Weekly growth recommitment. Refresh purpose, sharpen standards, recommit to GWF excellence and leadership honor. Executive mindset for forward leadership. Leadership is not an identity, it is daily action. Guest-first service, system protection, cultural stewardship must be rebuilt daily. because drift happens invisibly when leadership relaxes. Teams and guests feel leadership presence, or they feel its absence instantly. At GWF, executive leaders lead first by self-mastery, then by team stewardship, then by system strengthening every shift, every week, every season. In simple terms for executive leaders, if you lead yourself daily, you can lead teams daily. If you lead teams daily, you strengthen systems daily. If you strengthen systems daily, you build a project that survives, thrives, and inspires for generations. Leadership is a living discipline. Renew it daily. 14. Final Declaration. Leadership Oath. Executive Summary. Why leadership requires a formal commitment. At Greenfield WorkFlow, leadership is not just actions. It is a solemn commitment to protect guests, strengthen teams, grow systems, and serve the future. True leadership requires a clear personal decision, not just professional ambition. GWF leadership demands daily recommitment to higher standards of service, sustainability, emotional intelligence, and operational discipline. Formalizing the leadership commitment seals the intent, moving leadership from aspiration to living, daily action. At GWF, executive leaders pledge to lead beyond self-interest, to steward the energy, systems, culture, and dreams of everyone they touch. Purpose of the Leadership Declaration. Align personal intention to GWF's mission. Leadership must be fully aligned to guest-first service, sustainability, belonging, and creative excellence. Anchor daily actions in a visible commitment. The oath transforms leadership from task management into life practice. Strengthen accountability and legacy thinking. Leaders who swear an oath think beyond today's shift. They think in terms of generations of guest loyalty, team growth, and system strength. Executive leadership mindset for final commitment. To lead without ego. To grow teams, not just results. To strengthen systems more than showcase selves. To protect guests, the environment, and the GWF mission without compromise. At GWF, executive leadership is a daily vow, not to perfection, but to disciplined excellence, humble growth, guest love, and system sustainability. Section 14 Executive Summary is now fully complete, ready to introduce the formal leadership oath on the next page. Would you like me to continue and write the full GWF Executive Leadership Oath now, so we finish the handbook perfectly, giving your executive leaders a formal pledge they can read, sign, or reflect on as part of their commitment? Ready to proceed? 15. GWF Executive Leadership Oath. Standing here as a protector of guest trust, steward of team growth, a builder of operational strength, and a guardian of GWF's mission, I make this commitment freely and proudly. Guest first service. I commit to protect every guest experience with calmness, precision, emotional warmth, and service excellence. Not sometimes, but always. I will lead systems and people so that every guest feels safe, seen, respected, inspired, and cared for. I will defend emotional loyalty before operational convenience, because the guest's heart builds the project's future. Team growth and culture protection. I commit to grow others before I grow myself. I will coach, correct, and celebrate my teams with discipline and compassion, building cultures of belonging, excellence, and personal pride. I will protect our culture from drift, fatigue, and emotional erosion, strengthening our daily rituals of service, sustainability, and shared success. System stewardship. I commit to lead systems, not personalities. I will document, protect, and upgrade operational standards, ensuring that GWF service rituals and operational excellence live beyond any one leader. I will correct drift early, embed improvements visibly, and strengthen systems as daily leadership practice. Environmental and community leadership. I commit to protect the environments and communities that host our work, choosing sustainability, stewardship, and respect over shortcuts or ease. I will lead with eco-conscious decisions, community connection, and guest education, building a future where hospitality serves nature, not exploits it. Personal discipline and daily renewal. I commit to leading myself before leading others. I will renew my leadership energy, discipline, humility, and guest-first focus daily, without excuse, without drift, without complacency. I will listen longer than I speak. I will act faster than I complain. I will reflect before I correct. I will serve without entitlement. I will grow without stopping. Final commitment. I lead at GWF, not because it is easy, but because the mission demands it. I serve not because I must, but because I choose to honor every guest, every team member, every standard, every future guest I will never meet, with my daily leadership excellence. This is my oath. This is my charge. This is my daily practice. This is my legacy.